Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, and so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show. Booyah!
Live from downtown Cleveland. It's beautiful out. The rain has stopped. My dog has finally gotten out of the closet. My dog hides in the closet all last night.
Huh. Yeah.
Out of control. Hi, guys. How you doing?
This is the wrong place to be with a 4th of July hangover. It turns out, like right now.
I never knew he had a dog.
Brutal. Yeah.
You didn't know I had a dog?
Never knew.
I mentioned it.
What do you have, a little poodle?
Why would you
Don't
think
mock
I have a
this
little
dog.
poodle?
Because in my neighborhood, the dogs are big, right?
Tell us what it is. What kind of a dog
poodle.
is it?
He is a mutt.
Okay.
He is a black lab and a cattle dog mix.
Wow. Huh.
But I don't know. He was a rescue,
Okay.
so who knows what he I think he probably got abused before we had him. I don't know what the hell happened to him.
Yeah.
But when it's thunder or fireworks, we found out, the
I
dog
find-
freaks the hell out.
I do find a lot of people with disobedient dogs use the fact that it's a rescue as an excuse for not training their dog or making it be like a proper
100%.
dog.
My wife
100%.
started the training process, and then it went out the window.
Anytime something bad happens, they're just like, well, that's not our fault. Clearly something happened to it in its past life. But if it does something good, like brings the paper, you're just like, I taught it that.
Yeah.
You get all the good, none of the bad.
Exactly. Like my dog never goes to the bathroom in the house, and I'm taking credit for it, but I didn't teach him that.
Right.
He did learn that somewhere along the way.
That's
we
true.
didn't teach him.
No.
Our training's been lame.
No, nice job, though.
All right, there we go. I'm Adam the Bull in for Jay Crawford. I don't know why I said my name. I'm sitting in the Jay Crawford seat, and I feel like I got to be more professional now. But I won't be. Trust me.
We won't let that happen.
That was 15 seconds of professionalism that goes out the window. Gee, what's going on, man?
Hey, listen, today we're gonna get into this, man. These cats is looking kind of up, man. We gonna revisit Deshaun Watson, man. At first, it was looking like 10 to 12. I might even be thinking 0. Somebody told me 0. Is 0 in the possibility in the mix? I doubt it, but I'll take it.
Nice tease. I'm Mike Polk, and we are going to be talking about not a great day yesterday for the Guardians, it turns out, but they have a very important stretch coming up, and we're going to be talking about that and how crucial that's going to be. And this is my first time on the show with the mayor, and I'm honored.
And thank you, Mike.
Yeah.
I'm Brad Sellers, and I'm on a 10-day contract today.
Hey, we got him.
I don't know how I got on the
Picked him
10-day. But here, we're going to be talking about the Cavaliers bringing Garland in the fold here. So he's in the house for us. Now, what's next for the Cavaliers? Let's talk about the direction that they go. Because obviously the appetite was wet last year with the Cavs season.
Yes, it was.
Guys, it's Ladies' Day on the show. We will have Mary Kay Cabot and Aditi Kinkhabwala here today. That's kind of an awkward transition to Deshaun Watson, but we'll do it anyway.
Right.
Here we are.
You just mentioned, G, that it's starting to feel like maybe the suspension won't be quite as much as we thought. I've been consistently saying 8 games, and I was actually talking to somebody about the show this weekend. I was being interviewed, shout out to the Cleveland Jewish News, who's doing an article about the show. And that's how Brad and I first met, doing the Cleveland Jewish News breakfast. Because nothing says Jewish like Brad Sellers.
First thing that comes to my mind. Yep.
Mine and me.
There you go. But anyway, like, obviously there was no real news on the story this weekend, guys, and maybe it's just us being hopeful, but it is starting to feel like, at least to me and clearly to you, because you just said it, that maybe this suspension is going to be a lot shorter than we think. Are we just kidding ourselves, or do you think it's really going that way?
Well, I think that it is a little bit hopeful, but I will say this. Mike Florio has been the most staunchest of guys when it comes to saying, hey, he's going to get a whole year. He's going to get a year, indefinite. And when he came out and kind of broke down some things and actually heard from somebody inside, and they said, look, man, I mean, the testimony was, didn't say Deshaun Watson forced anybody to do anything. It now looks as if it'll be very difficult for the league to say 1 year. And so now as this stuff is coming out, I think you look at the NFL Players Association, and I always look at the fact that you're allowed to file these briefings afterwards, right? And you can file some paperwork to say, and also think about this. And also, hey, why don't you think about this? Those type of things for me start to think that now the Browns, Deshaun Watson, and Deshaun Watson's attorney have to be feeling a little better because now they got Busby off their tail. But he was killing them in the press. They filed and settled 20 of them. Now it's like, okay, you got the 4, but he was a mastermind in playing this trial throughout in terms of when we look at the people and in public eye. And now he's off the trail a little bit. Now I think the NFL has not been as successful as he was as painting the picture and the narrative.
Well, I'll tell you this, that I don't know if he got Busby off the trail. Busby is here to advocate for his clients, right? And he got to his clients the best they were going to get. After the criminal proceedings, there were no indictment on Deshaun Watson in Texas. I think that Busby did what he had to do to advocate for his clients. Now, you still got 4 outstanding cases here. And I'm not, you and I are pretty tight on this thing, but I don't know because I just feel like the court of public opinion is out here because if the NFL comes back with 0 on the table, it's going to be a problem.
It's not going to be 0, but do you disagree?
1, 2 is a problem.
We're at least convincing ourselves that this thing is not going to be as bad as we maybe initially thought. Do you feel the same way?
I never thought it was a year, right? Because I just think the case, the semantics of the case and the facts lead to, I don't know how you get to this year or different suspension.
Right.
I understood their stance because they had to, after Ray Rice, the NFL has to take a hard stance out here, right? And if something was committed that was felonious, you have to deal with it. But I don't think that case was laid down. It may still yet come. I don't see it coming with the other 4 cases. I think it can stay civil. But in this case here, Deshaun Watson I feel is in a much better position now after the 3-day hearing than he was before. But I'll say this. Everybody has to be under scope. You think Judge Sue Robinson is under any pressure here? If you don't think she's under any pressure, I don't care if she go to the grocery store, she's under pressure, right? So
from both sides.
From both sides,
yeah.
Right? So the briefs are due on the 11th. We're going to see what happens here, but I don't think this ruling is coming 5 days after those briefs are filed. I don't think that at all.
I think there's a chance, Mike, that we keep creating a timeline in the media of when this is going to happen. And I think we've been kidding ourselves on that angle at least the whole time. I think it's possible training camp starts and we still don't have a decision.
I think that's true. And I think I've been processing this way too much lately. And I've been thinking about this. And this will be a weird thing to say, but at this point, I really think maybe the best case scenario is the year, a whole year.
So you're going the other way.
Here's what I'm thinking. All right, you said it yourself. It can't be 0 games.
Right.
It can't be 2 games because Tom Brady got suspended how many games for deflating
4.
footballs?
4.
Right.
Yeah.
And that doesn't look good. Like I know that we shouldn't care about what looks good, but they do care, whether that's right or not. If it's half the season, then your playoff hopes are pretty much dashed, I would say at that point, unless they do something ridiculous. And then he comes back, and then what do you do? At that point, you lost a year of his contract. If you can still maintain that year of his contract and count next year as his first year, which is a possibility from what I understand, is that not true?
Yes.
Then you get a year off. We have that much more cap space next year because he'll have under that ridiculous contract for $1 million if it's his first year. So the more I think about this, the more I think that possibly the best case scenario is the entire year.
It's an interesting angle, guys. I wonder if anybody else agrees.
I doubt that very much. I'm assuming including the commenters at home, but I really think
Twitter
it's
is
an
going to
interesting
love that
angle
one.
that
I'm thinking-
if you think they can't make the playoffs if Deshaun is suspended for 8 games,
and I don't.
then it would make the Browns would be better off if he got suspended for a year. Now, I do think they can make the playoffs even if he's suspended for 8 games. I don't like their chances as much, obviously, but I still think they got a shot. What do you guys think? It's an interesting point that we hadn't really talked about.
Well, Bull, I feel like this, that I think the way, and I've said it before, I think the way the contract was structured, the Browns anticipated something going south, a potential of going south.
Right.
That's why they structured the deal that they did. Now, I'm the only one on this panel that has been saying this from the beginning. I'm an old school guy, Mike. Right? I got a guy under contract. He's going nowhere. He's gonna be under that center when I need him under that center.
Yeah.
And even if he's under that center, I'm gonna tell you what, I still got a shot here to be a playoff team. I do. He's not a bum, right? He's not Brady. He's just not a bum. He's not a bum.
I
He's
like
just
that we're
Brady.
not saying his name right now like he's Macbeth or something like that. No, you're right. I'm with you on that too, by the way. And I totally agree. And I'm assuming, when I say that they can't make the playoffs, I'm assuming that he's not taking a snap, that Baker's not taking a snap. I'm assuming that we're going with Jacoby for those first 8 games. And no offense, again, to my Brissett bros out there, but I don't see him going 6-2 waiting for Deshaun to get back. So I'm assuming, when I say that, if Baker is under center, then it's a different deal.
So let me ask you, I'm gonna flip it on you. So if Baker said he gets wisdom and says, okay, I'm coming to camp. Right?
Yes.
So who you put under center if they're both there?
Between the two of them.
Brissett.
Oh, I see. Baker in a heartbeat. If he's willing to play ball, I'd rather have him. I've been saying that since the beginning.
Okay, but
you're right.
Let's say pie in the sky, even though Garrett and I have been saying this is never going to happen. If Baker was here, would you then not want Deshaun to get suspended for a full year and only 8 games because now you still think they can make the playoffs? Or would you not?
Man, I need like another week and a half to think about that. No, you're right. That's a fair question. I would still want him under center, yes. I think he gives me the best chance to win. And that's who I want under center, especially when this team is good and ready to go. Yeah. We have a small window. Right. We can't just, if we have the opportunity for this fan base to try and get them back to the playoffs, you have to do what's right for the fan base. And I think in that case, you put your best quarterback under center, whether he likes it or not, whether he's pissy or not. You just got to do it.
G?
And I look at it like this, man. And I just always go to the aftermath, right? So we talked about Baker Mayfield, and one of the worst things that you could do from a standpoint is look like you flip-flopping.
Yeah.
If you Andrew Berry, you made this decision, right? You made it. You said, I'm going to live and die with this decision with Deshaun Watson. Right. I not only brought in Jacoby Brissett, I brought in Josh Dobbs, and I got rid of Case Keenum. So you basically said, come hell or high water, I'm about to keep the whole room different. I don't want nothing else that was in that room last year. Now, you got to think about it. If Baker Mayfield comes in riding on that white steed, he's the savior. He comes in, and you think if that man don't win a couple games in the first part, listen, that is what the media is waiting on.
Oh, the controversy.
You would have a literal problem.
And what goes up with that?
What goes up with that? What comes down with that is this. Kevin Stefanski is saying, nah, Andrew Berry, nah, I didn't like how he was talking to me. Last year, he talked about it was I put him in a bad situation, and we wasn't doing what we supposed to, and I'm going to figure out what I need to do. See, you got to look at it. Who's the next up on the chopping block if it goes wrong?
Stefanski.
It was OBJ at first. He gone. Baker Mayfield was second. He gone. The next up on the list is Kevin Stefanski.
You mean the 2020 Coach of the Year?
Yes.
It changes quickly, guys.
Let me tell you how this works. The player's the first one up on the block. Then
Well,
it's the coach.
yes.
So this is nothing abnormal. This is how it works.
Yeah.
And so your nickname is G, right?
Right.
So let's be a straight G here. Right? So I'm a straight G and I'm the owner. I don't care about that side stuff.
Right.
That's true.
I've been hammered with this league decision. My whole dynamic here has changed.
And we can agree the chopping block never goes player, coach, and then owner. The owners never get.
Guys, let me ask you this. Rapid fire here. What happens first? Baker gets traded, or the Deshaun Watson suspension or non-suspension is decided? What happens first?
So I say first that Deshaun Baker goes nowhere till I find out about Watson. Right?
That's what you want, or you think that's what's going to happen?
That's what's going to happen.
You think that's what's happening?
Totally agree. It doesn't make any sense to make that move until you know what you're waiting for.
Fact. He was right on that. You figure out what Deshaun Watson is and what he ain't, and then that gives you an opportunity to see, okay, where we can put Baker and how we're going to get something back.
All right, I'm going to be the contrarian. I'll say he gets traded first before the suspension.
But doesn't that give them less negotiating power right then at this point?
It does, but I think as we're getting closer to training camp, I think someone will get a tiny bit desperate and give up a little something for him.
So, Bull, do you think that there's no player on the Browns team now that's thinking like, hold on, the guys have been around,
they probably are.
They've been around for a long time and know how close, because they're closer than most, right?
Yes.
The talent level is closer than most. Some guys, the veteran guys, are being like, hold on, don't be hasty here. Hold on.
You're probably right.
Let's play this out here and see what happens here. Let's not be making moves just to be making moves to make people happy.
I hope they're listening.
So what we're saying is, if Deshaun Watson is suspended for more than 8 games, you're telling me, and it's essentially we're saying all 3 of us would like a different quarterback other than Jacoby Brissett.
I don't think Jacoby Brissett he's a decent player. He's not a guy I'm a ride the horse on.
He's a backup.
To the final.
He's a backup.
I got a guy here that at least has been there.
Yeah.
And I said, we going with Deshaun Watson from here forward.
Yeah.
But I need just somebody to hold me over instead. That's all I need.
I think it's Garoppolo to me. If you can't, if you,
I agree with you.
I would go with Jimmy Garoppolo.
Sure.
If I could,
Please. I'd love that. Bring it in. Nobody's like, no way.
If you could flip that out, right?
Yes.
Then it'll be no hands. It'd be hands down.
No
We'll be
argument.
All right, guys, this won't be the last time we talk about Deshaun Watson. Before we move it along here, I got to say this is totally out of left field. I saw Mike's shoes, and for a second, I couldn't see the differentiation between the socks and the shoe. I was confused for a second. I thought that was your sock.
I thought that was
and
part
then
of like
I
a
realized
boot. Like a boot.
Your sock is blue and the shoe is actually gray in the back.
Put that back up there again. And look,
Those are some wild shoes. Look at that.
Those are my dad New Balance.
I like those.
I can't say how comfortable these are.
G
enough.
got the Jack Harlow's on.
Yeah.
There you go.
They look like sandals. Like the back cut off.
They're trying to make
Right,
up their
that's
mind.
what I thought. I thought you had like sandals. Okay. So big news over the weekend, guys. Darius Garland, who there's no argument here. We all love Darius Garland, signs a max extension. What's really great to me about Darius Garland, there's so many things that are great about him. Not only has he gotten better every year as a Cavalier, including this year taking it to an all-star level, he seems like, again, I don't know Darius Garland. I don't know if you guys do. I don't know if you do, Brad, but seems like a great guy.
Yeah.
Seems like he loves playing in Cleveland and seems like he loves his teammates. I don't see how there's anybody on the planet that would not like this move. Your thoughts, bro?
Oh, I think it was first of all, it was a necessary move. He's the corner piece to this franchise going forward.
Yep.
I think his upside over the years he's been here has just grown exponentially.
Yeah.
The other thing for us is this: you had to keep him in the fold because this is the way the direction of the league is going with these contracts.
Yep.
So he's here now. I said in the intro to the show, where are we going with this? Right, because now you have building blocks here in pieces. The Lopez pickup, the Rubio reacquisition, good solid pickups here. We are still missing that. You don't even need an A player. You need like a B player, veteran B player. And I was thinking this weekend, who can I use to help me here? Because I got this young talent here. The problem when we got into the trouble when we were in the play-in series, when it got tough, we didn't have anybody to go get us a bucket.
Right.
We did, and Garland was learning on the job, and you could see it.
We were hoping to be LeVert.
Well, here, I don't think he was ever going to be that guy.
That's
I think
what we
he's
were
a
hoping
solid
for,
player.
though.
Well, I'm thinking beyond this, Mike. Where's Melo at?
Melo. You still think he's got enough left to tank?
I don't need Melo to do 1,000 things.
Yeah.
That's good because he can't.
I need Melo, Mike, to
Yeah.
just come in and put some points on the board and be a threat. We didn't have to have a guy that was really a threat when they locked up Garland down the stretch.
But can't we get somebody better than that? What about
Well, here, I'm just saying, you're not going to get anybody without giving up something.
Well, that's true. Although the Sixers are looking to get rid of Tobias Harris's contract. It's a lot of money. Cavs have to figure it out, but he's a hell of a player.
So,
a guy that
I'm not.
No, you're not down with that?
The first thing that hits me in my face is this, man. Man, this hurts. Man, homie, last year you was the man, homie. What the heck happened to you? Colin Sexton, you can't be sitting here thinking, that was my contract. That was the bag I was supposed to get.
The bag.
Here's the tweet from Woj there, G.
That joint right there.
Yeah.
Cleveland Cavaliers All-Star guard Darius Garland has agreed to a 5-year, $193 million maximum designated rookie contract. Extension could be worth as much as $231. Yeah. Now you got
largest deal in Cavs franchise history.
You got Colin Sexton thinking like, he getting $231? I can't even get these people to give me $18, $19 a year. I'm going to tell you what, this happens a lot. I think this is going to really hamper the negotiation process with Colin Sexton, and I think his agent is going to say,
he's got the same agent.
Right.
Yeah.
So he might be off to another place.
So again, they picked up the option, right? They're there to move him at any time. Let me tell you again, we're back to Baker Mayfield again. You're not in control here. You're not in control here.
Well, the players in the NBA have more control.
When you have the leverage. He doesn't have any leverage.
No,
he doesn't have any leverage.
But use Garland's contract to motivate yourself and to say, try and take it. That's the best case scenario.
Mike, it's just not that. Garland got paid because they won.
Right.
Sexton put up the numbers and we didn't win. Right?
Yeah.
But Garland's a much better all-around player, right?
His talent level has exponentially.
We got
Thank
there.
you. Help me.
No problem. It's July 5th.
Thank you. Grown since he's been here.
Yeah.
Colin has put up numbers. He's shown us some great things. They don't translate into wins. And in this league here, they don't translate into wins. You get nothing.
They don't translate into wins though when you're not playing next to Mobley.
Yeah,
which
right.
is-
Yeah,
that's helpful.
Mobley was there.
He's playing next to Chetty Osman.
Let me tell you something else here. Well, since I'll debate you on this, because if it was all that, how many people would be knocking down the door to get him in here?
Right. Yeah,
see
That's
that?
true.
That's
true.
fair.
No, you're right. He
That's
hasn't
true.
proven anything
But
yet.
what does Sexton do better than Mobley?
Well,
than better than
What he
Garland?
should be doing is paying attention to what's going on here.
Right.
You know, I want that bag that you just talked about.
Yeah.
This is what I have to do.
Well, he was never getting that, but he
But
should've
think
got-
about
yeah.
this. We are not sure what Sexton is right now. So
Right.
think about being another team's GM
Well,
trying to figure out
well,
what
go
Sexton
back,
is.
Go back further. What happened at Alabama?
Right.
He's the same guy. Alabama win anything?
No.
He had good numbers.
I'll look at it. I'll give you this.
Go back to high school.
Darius Garland.
That kid's been a loser since high school. You hear us?
No, he's not a loser.
No.
He's not a loser.
He's just not a
the
winner.
problem is the value in winning.
See,
I will trade you 4 more points, Bull, less points
Yeah.
for 7 more wins. And if it put me over the hump, right?
Well-
and that's how people in this league get paid.
well, I think I go to Bull's point. I think it does translate. When you talk about Darius Garland's skill set, you to be a max player like that, you got to be able to do 3 to 4 things well. You know, he gets people involved. He's the maestro in terms of getting people offensive in and
Plays
out of the flow.
defense.
He's a guy that can hit an open jump shot. He's a guy that can get his off the dribble, off the bounce. He's also a guy that can get his in transition. You look at it, and he's a floor general. He has all these different things that. But when you look at Colin Sexton, he shoots, he scores. He's an elite scorer.
Let me
Go ahead.
give you this.
Yeah.
Think about this. And then I'm sitting here because Mike just made me think about it. Sexton, if I play him off the bench, right? Because he can give you numbers,
Yeah.
right? And energy. If I play him off the back, he can give me the Vinnie Johnson roll off the bench where I can count on you to
Right.
give me these numbers. And I get a person in that B slot, right? To fill in here. Now I got my number 1 pick in Sexton off the bench, right? I got strong because down the stretch when we got that play in, when we got in trouble, they looked to the bench. JB was like,
Is he willing to be that guy?
Who's here?
Stevens and Jetty.
Yeah.
Nah.
Put in one of those Stevens. Is he willing to be that guy off the bench?
That's what I'm
That's
saying.
the question.
This-
Can he
this is
mentally
where we
handle
has to be
not
your-
being a
But
starter?
that goes back to like
Yeah.
Mayfield.
Goes back to your
This
thing.
goes to
Gotta
Mayfield.
do it.
Can I
Exactly.
make
But that's
the
easy for us to
transition?
say.
He has to be that. Isn't that the best role for him? Like at some point,
On
you've got to
this team,
realize.
100%.
But when you're
you know.
young, sometimes you don't realize until
Yeah.
you turn 30.
Right. Yep.
So the
And by
door's
then, nobody
closed.
wants you
Then
on their
nobody
team
wants you.
anymore unless you're Rubio.
Everybody thinks they're a max guy when they under the age of 26.
Yeah.
Everybody think that, and it's so difficult because when you look at this, Darius Garland was nowhere near better than Colin Sexton. This just happened in a year.
Yeah.
This is 365. He just was like, okay, he just flourished while he was out.
Yeah.
So now you have to go sell this to somebody. Think about it. Like you've been on a show with somebody all your life, right?
Yeah.
And then y'all go to contract negotiations. You've been the lead dude. All of a sudden, they got this other dude they done put on the set. And he come in here and this puppy, he got $230 and he got 4 weeks of vacation off. He getting all these endorsements. You like, but what about me though?
Right.
When you in that earning phase where you're trying to carve your niche out, it's hard to take
But
that
he
back
can
seat.
help himself, guys,
Yes, he
by
can.
embracing that. You can, if you're a 6th man and you embrace that role and you become one of the best 6 men in basketball, you can make a lot of money doing
I hope
that.
Lot of
I
money
hope
for a
his
long
agent is
time.
telling him that. I hope the coach
Yeah.
is telling him that. I hope that's getting through his head, and I hope that he isn't. I mean, we're
Well,
just assuming that he's not comfortable.
There
with
was
that.
a
Maybe he
guy.
is.
There were a number of guys that come off the bench have
Yeah.
made outstanding careers. So I just talked about Vinnie Johnson, Detroit.
Yeah.
The microwave.
There was a guy in Milwaukee. I don't know if you remember. His guy's name was Ricky Pierce. His nickname was Ricky. You know, in the league, that's what we used to call him. Ricky Plenty Numbers Pierce. That means when he come in, he's gonna give you plenty numbers, right? And so you'd be like, so you had to scout and train for him. Sexton has an alley.
Yeah.
Right. Garland didn't make the ascension until Sexton got hurt. And then we were like, oh, what's going to happen now?
Right.
And then Garland, his confidence kept growing and growing. At the end, he was doing some freak stuff out here. He's like, I'm just toying with you.
And are
out
we
here.
sure Sexton's not going to make a leap like that
He
too?
could. But here's the interesting thing, guys. This is how I see it. Tell me what you guys think. Sexton, to be fair to him, I think has gotten a little bit better every year. A little bit. But obviously this year he barely played. But until this year, I thought each year he got a little. Whereas, so his increase in play was like really
Consistent
slight.
but slow.
Really slight.
Yep.
Whereas Garland was
Made a
like
One of the
kind of
worst.
like this and then
He was
I
one
mean,
of
he
the
just
worst.
shot up like a rocket.
He was one of the worst statistically guards that got that many minutes in the league.
Right.
He couldn't hit a shot.
Right.
He turned the ball over a ton. He was lost on defense. It was like
It's like a invasion of the body
tantalizing. He did. Sexton had really good games before he got injured last year, under the tutelage of Rubio, who is back. They brought him back for probably a half a season after he gets back from this injury. I think they're bringing him back as a coach again, pretty much, essentially, because they saw the progress he helped these young guards make. And I think it's a brilliant move. And I think that Sexton has the potential to get even better this year. And I'd like to see what he looks like playing alongside Mobley.
If they can't turn Sexton into a better veteran player, a player that's better than him, then they might as well stick with him and see what they got.
Yeah.
Brad, you've dealt with contracts. Let me ask you this question with your agents and stuff. Mm-hmm. So how does that figure in? They have the same agent.
Yeah.
What is Rich Paul thinking? Is he thinking it's better for my guy to stay here because I know that they're more apt to give him a little bit more money and a little more wiggle room here in Cleveland since they drafted him? Or is he thinking, I got market value on, look what I just got Darius Garland. I can get you the same thing. What is he thinking?
So Rich is probably thinking that they cannot handle both contracts on a team going forward. So he's probably saying, Colin, you got to get out there and play hard and position ourselves to be able to move on, right? And so that's the direction that this may go. But again, it depends on the ascension of the team, how they do, and the role that Colin Sexton is ready to take. I don't think they're ready to walk from him yet, right? And they want to see where it goes, because I will tell you this, G, he comes in and he can get buckets, right? That is a plus in this league. He can get you buckets, right? And so, but the question is, can he get you buckets at the expense of the other players on the team? Because sometimes he would get buckets and nobody else would be doing the thing. Right. But he got his buckets, though.
If he does that at a high level this year as a sixth man, it could lead to a big contract down the line.
Big payday.
All right, guys, a lot of other local athletes were talking about this Darius Garland contract over the weekend. With more on that, what the internet's saying, let's bring it to Mikey McNuggets for the first time today. Mikey.
What's up, guys? Happy Monday, Tuesday back, whatever it is. My days are all screwed up. But one thing I won't screw up.
The producer of the show, for crying out loud. You should know what day it is.
Yeah, I know.
Keep a calendar back
But one
there.
thing I don't mess up. What's up, Polk?
Keep a calendar back there so you know what day it is.
Yeah, really.
Not a bad idea. Maybe I should apply to PCC airfoils, too, if I'm going to get bullied like this. But
Good, yeah.
If you're looking for a job with career advancement and great benefits, PCC Airfoils is a leading manufacturer in Northeast Ohio. All locations of PCC Airfoils at Eastlake, Menor, Wickliffe, and Minerva are hiring for all positions, starting at $18 an hour and up, plus get full health care, benefit packages, paid time off, and a signing bonus. Apply online at precast.com/careers to learn more. And G. Bush alluded to this earlier, but let's take the first of the internet comments, and it's from Darius Garland himself. Worst player to, this is in reference to him being labeled the worst player in the NBA after his rookie year. Now he's a max player. So
was that true? I didn't remember that.
He was listed as the worst player?
I had no idea.
It was Sporting News wrote the article. They
nice job
all
by
the numbers.
So again, you don't listen to the bums, right?
Yeah, but you got to tag that writer in that.
The bums don't know.
I called him
to throw proper shade.
You never know what a person going to turn into, right?
Right.
And it all depends on not only their skill set, but what kind of system they're going into.
I love it. I love that he did that.
All right to screw up a prediction. Just own it when you do.
Yeah.
All right. Next one comes from Kevin Love, and Steve Becker sent me this one, so excuse the explicit. But my younger brother, Darius Garland, got his bag. You put in the time and earn this. Bleep. Now the real work begins at top of the world. Let's go to the next one, Steve, is some other Cleveland athletes chiming in. Miles Garrett says, yeah, let's go, at Darius Garland. And then our friend over at Channel 3, Sir Yacht, also chimed in. He said, last year I said Darius Garland was not a basketball player you could build your team around. Happy to be so horribly wrong, and happy Darius is in Cleveland.
See, there you go. Sir Yacht called the shot. He
being
was
an
wrong.
idiot. You acknowledge being an idiot, and I think that's nice, Sir Yacht.
Well, I'll tell you this. Nobody saw the ascension of that. Nobody saw that.
Not this good.
Not that good.
Yeah, maybe.
Right?
I mean, I think we all thought he'd be better.
But
not like
it was
that.
like lights
Darius
out.
Garland's parents.
So that's why I went
what
back.
was that?
That's why I went back
didn't
to
know.
the thing and saying, well, hold on now. You got a chance here.
He went from being a guy to being an all-star.
So who do you feel we need to make us put us over the hump?
Yeah.
But we'll get to that right after this.
Oh, look at this.
Yeah, do you guys look behind you real quick? This is a brand new sponsor, and we are honored to bring you the first ever guest on the Gridiron Guys Hotline. Mary Kay Cabot. If you're looking for a local roofer you can trust, family-owned
There's a
since
hammer in the
2003, the Gridiron Guys have grown to become Northeast Ohio's top-rated roofers. We exemplify quality work practices and are a valuable resource for homeowners and offer 10-year workmanship warranty. Call 330-573-7967 today for a free estimate of roof inspection. Gridiron Guys Construction, the best in the business. And now it's Mary Kay Cabot.
Mary
Hey.
Kay Cabot, Cleveland.com. Good to have her with us again today. Mary Kay, how are you?
I'm doing great, guys. How you doing?
We're doing fantastic. We're debating Darius Garland, Deshaun Watson. I asked these guys something before. I want your best guess on this. If you had to bet right now, your beautiful house, your house is on the line, Mary Kay, so think carefully about this. What happens first? The Deshaun Watson suspension is announced or Baker gets traded? Which of those two things happens first?
Oh, wow. That's fantastic. I'm going to go with Deshaun Watson coming first. I think both things probably should happen before training camp begins on July 27th. But I'm going to say Deshaun Watson first. I think that, that should happen here within the next, 10 days or so.
Okay.
So Mary Brad Sellers, let me ask you a question, because when did it change, right? When did the owners change? Because once I had a guy, it used to be when owners had you under contract, well, it would play all the way out until the owners were ready to break off of it. I don't understand the need to move Baker Mayfield right now. I understand why you want to do it, but I don't need to do it right now until I find out what happens with Watson. And if I get a severe hand handed to me on Watson, my whole thinking changes. It does. And I don't care what was said, who did what, whose feelings.
You don't care about Baker's feelings.
I don't care about nobody's feelings. If I'm the guy paying the check, I don't care about anybody's feelings. I need you under this center because are you better than the other option I have? If you tell me he's better than the other option, why would I take less when I need more? I don't understand it.
Mary Kay, you're around the players. You know them better than anybody. Brad makes a point.
It is difficult to understand from the outside looking in, but basically the bottom line is the Cleveland Browns have evaluated that Baker Mayfield is not the quarterback for them. And it's not like they're wishing and hoping and worried about hurting anybody's feelings. They don't want him to play quarterback for them anymore, and he doesn't want to play quarterback for them anymore. And I think he was even pretty clear about that at his youth football camp last week when he said both sides want to move on, that it is a
We got to update that ring.
I got that ring too.
I know.
Actually, that was Baker calling saying that was a fake story.
Oh, man, Baker.
Thought I had the phone on silent there.
That's all
Sorry. But anyway, so Baker Mayfield made it pretty clear he does not want to play for the Cleveland Browns anymore, and they don't want him. So it's not like they have to beg him to come back or he has to beg them to let him play. This is a mutual decision. They're trying to trade him. They will try to get him on another team before training camp.
Mary, and I'll go back to this, right? Because I would just tell you the Bulls owners, Jerry Reinsdorf and Jerry Krause, when he was still alive, they wouldn't listen to none of what you're talking about, because you know how many people stood up and said, I want to be moved, I want to be traded. I mean, that's like a common practice in professional sports.
Times have changed.
Again, it's about, if I'm running an organization, I don't care if it's a business, right? I'm going to do what's in the best interest of the business, not what's it may not be in the best interest of the player, right? And here, we're not talking about Baker Mayfield for an extended period of time here in Cleveland. If Deshaun Watson is out 8, 9 games, 7, 8 games, then my options have to change. I have to do what's in the best interest of the organization. And I'm not one to just break off it because somebody got their little feelings hurt. It's just welcome to the big league. You get rewarded for your feelings.
But you're assuming that that's what the Cleveland Browns want to happen. You're assuming that they think he's better for them to play than Jacoby Brissett or whoever else that they might bring in.
This is
and
true.
there are other extenuating circumstances here too, and those include the fact that there are some loyalties on the team. So if you put Baker Mayfield back into that locker room and back onto this football team, you still have guys like Nick Chubb that really adhere to Baker Mayfield and back him and support him. You've got guys like Joe Bitonio and Wyatt Teller that feel that way. And depending on how long Deshaun Watson is out, you don't really want another divided locker room again like they had last year after OBJ left. So this isn't a situation about feelings of Baker or anything like this. This is the Browns' evaluation that they were done with him as a quarterback. he is done with them as a football team. And let's never say never, though, because things could change. I mean, there is a world in which if Deshaun Watson is suspended for the season, they do reevaluate it. And, they have to ask themselves, is Jacoby Brissett the guy to take them to the playoffs in that scenario? So they'll put their heads together and talk it through, but it's probably unlikely that he will play for them again.
Mary Kay, I come out on this thing as this. I believe that here in Cleveland, we have an inflated sense of exactly how good skill-wise Baker Mayfield is. Because he won a playoff game and because we haven't had anything, he's the number 1 overall pick. I literally think that some people, if you had to pick the brains of Kevin Stefanski and say, give me a list of all the players down the list of the quarterbacks that you could choose, I think what he's telling you is that he believes Jacoby Brissett is better than Baker Mayfield. I think he's telling you, hey, when I'm coaching it and I'm calling it up, I could tell you what I saw in the field, and I could tell you we couldn't call certain things. I think that he's telling you that Baker here is in the middle rungs in Cleveland, but I just think that they value other people, and they feel they could do just as good a job as Baker did and still win some football games. Do you think we're overinflating Baker's game?
Not necessarily. I do think that, that we have somehow placed Baker in the bottom 5 of the NFL. And I don't think he belongs there. I think in the right situation, with the right coaching, he can still play some winning football. But I don't think Cleveland is the right situation for him anymore. And I think you make a good point that I think this particular football team and this coach believes that they can get as much out of Jacoby Brissett and game plan around him and his deficiencies. I think they feel like they can do as good of a job with Jacoby as they could with Baker for a number of reasons. Jacoby is mobile. Jacoby is bigger. He's 6'4". Baker was starting to, have difficulty staying within the pocket, and then defenses were taking away the rollouts and the bootlegs. So I do think that they feel that it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other for the most part on the football field. And then from an intangible standpoint, not worth going back to Baker.
Mary Kay, first of all, while you're talking about these things, we're watching B-roll of Baker at training camp, and he's literally having to jump up in the air to throw the ball. While you're talking about this, he's leaping up to throw the ball, and this is just in B-roll from training camp.
Yeah.
So good point. Secondly, big fan, that, Mary Kay. And third, I have this is a two-part question. First part is, will you share with us the piece of information you have about the Deshaun Watson situation that you haven't told anyone else yet? Please go.
I wish I had it. I really wish I had it.
She's
everywhere
holding
out. Everywhere I went this past weekend, I cannot tell you the amount of people that asked me that very question.
I know.
I'm just holding out on everybody, and I'm just not willing to report this great scoop that I have.
Yeah.
I get it. I was thinking about how terrible that must be for you, and I was being facetious. But my real question is, we were talking about, I was suggesting earlier that might be the best case scenario, if, in my opinion, if you think it through, if they come back with a year-long suspension for him as opposed to 4 games, 8 games, something like that, because I think that there are some advantages to that. Wouldn't there be?
Well, it depends on how it's worded. If we're going to be 10 games and they lose the whole season from a contract standpoint, that's not advantageous to the Cleveland Browns.
Right.
In that scenario, you would almost rather that he be banned from football for the 2022 season so that the contract tolls to next year and you still have him for his full 5 years. So absolutely, that is one advantage that could happen in the event that they work it out that way. You could also have a 17-game suspension that doesn't include the contract being told till next season. So they have a lot of things to work out that way. But I just get the feeling on the part of the Browns, and maybe it's wishful thinking, I just get the feeling that they believe he's going to be on the football field at some point this season. And I don't know if everybody really understands this part, but a settlement can happen at any time. The NFLPA could decide when I'm on a flight to London tomorrow at 7:59 tomorrow night that Deshaun Watson is going to be out for 8 games. So, and of course, it will happen when I am on the flight.
Yeah,
we
most
all
likely.
know. Not able to get internet that I had paid for. I mean, we know this. So, anyways, so yes, a settlement could happen at any time, but I just get the feeling that there just is an internal vibe that somehow they're going to see Deshaun Watson this season.
Mary Kay, there is actually other stories with the Browns, so let's hit on a couple of them here. I want to talk about Kareem Hunt because recently, obviously, he talked about wanting to stay here. He's obviously seems very happy here. He has stayed out of trouble as far as we know, at turning around, it appears, his life and his career after the trouble he got in when he was with the Chiefs. My first reaction when I heard Kareem Hunt wants to sign an extension here was like, well, they can't pay Kareem Hunt that kind of money because they're already paying Nick Chubb. You can't spend that much money at running back. But I kind of thought, well, I didn't think they would spend that big money on David Njoku, and they did. There's always the cap gymnastics you got to deal with. What do you think the future is for Kareem Hunt in Cleveland?
Well, first of all, you can structure a contract in such a way that it can be incentive laden, and it can be based on the amount of football games that he plays and how many yards he gets. You can do something like that, and I think he would be up for that. He did that in the previous 2 years. He's under contract like that for this season. So I think you could do that going forward. However, I get the strong feeling, and I've written this and I've said this, I get the feeling that the Browns are leaning towards letting him play out the season, seeing how healthy he can stay, seeing if he comes back really strong from that calf injury, the ankle injury, seeing what he's got left in the tank, and then going from there. I mean, it could end up being sort of a Jarvis Landry type situation where you revisit it, you talk about the money, you see if you can work something out. Now, the difference between Jarvis and Kareem is that I think Kareem really will be willing to take that literal hometown discount more so than Jarvis would.
Mary Kay, I look at it a couple other different positions. Offensive line, we've kind of just given the Browns the offensive line. We've just kind of just said, oh, they're great. But, I mean, there are a couple question marks. Jack Conklin, he's MIA. I haven't heard nothing about him. Like, is he out there? Is he rehabbing? He hanging out?
He's been hurt a lot.
He's been, he's coming back from serious injury. Nick Harris at center, I know he played decent a couple of games, moving around, but now he's the full-time center. And Jedrick Wills, he played solid his rookie year, injured last year. Out of those three people, which one are you most worried about?
That's a great question. I think it's almost, in my mind, even across the board. I'm hearing good things about Jack Conklin and how he's coming along. But that's a tough injury to come back from, a torn patellar. And he also had a dislocated elbow. So they have to really hope that he can stay healthy this year. That's such a crucial position. Lucky for them, Chris Hubbard is back behind the two tackles. Their swing tackle is back. He's also coming off of a surgery and an injury of a torn triceps. As far as Nick Harris, as you mentioned, one really good game on film in Green Bay. But they're excited about him too, and believing that he will be able to come in and hold down that center position. Jed Wills, I'm hearing that they expect him to sort of put that season behind him from 2021 when he was injured a lot with the ankle and bounce back and have a nice year. In terms of which one I would be most concerned about from all of those three, I think it would probably be Jack Conklin, just because it's a tough injury to come back from, and sometimes you get those residual injuries after that.
I got a question for you, Mary Kay. Worst case scenario kind of situation. I like to play with these in my head sometimes just so I can not sleep at night. Imagine in training camp, not wishing this into the world, but imagine something terrible happened and say Amari Cooper got dinged up at training camp and we're going to miss him for 5 games. Do you feel comfortable with the receiving core at that point moving forward? And if not, what's your solution?
That's catastrophic.
Great question. Well, I'll tell you what, I've been writing and saying all along that I do think they need at least one other veteran receiver on this football team in the event that Iron Man Amari Cooper does suffer an injury. He's been so reliable, but as you get older in the game, as you know, all of a sudden injuries start to happen. So I would add another veteran receiver to the football team. And, I haven't studied all of them in depth, the ones that are available, and some more could shake out as you go through training camp. There might be trade possibilities available. Some might come free in the cuts and things like that. But I would look into any that are available. I would add another veteran just in the event that something happens with Amari. And the other thing is, there are just a lot of young guys in the room that are sort of unproven, but they're looking at their pass catching situation globally, not just the receivers. They're looking at it like, hey, we've got experienced tight ends. We've got Kareem Hunt who can catch the ball.
Yep.
So I think that's why they feel comfortable right now.
Hey, Mary, do you know if Kevin Stefanski is aware that the Browns fan base and the public has a keen eye on the job he's going to do this year? Does he realize he's in the scope?
Oh, yes, absolutely. He's been in the game for so long. He's very practical. He understands what the situation is. He knows that all eyes will be on him to get it right. He took criticism last year for the way that he did some things, including from Baker Mayfield. So absolutely, yes. He knows that he's got to get this right, especially in the event that Deshaun Watson plays a bunch of this season. Everybody wants to see that they're calling the right plays for Deshaun, bringing out the best in him. And that's going to involve, talking to probably Dabo Sweeney, his college coach, maybe looking at some things that he did well in other places to make sure that they're getting the most out of that elite talent.
Mary Kay, let's wrap it up with this. We're going to have a conversation about who could be a breakout camp candidate for the Browns. So before we give our opinions, let's wrap up our time with you getting your opinion. Who's maybe a little off the radar guy that you could see being a breakout candidate here in camp?
Well, one guy that everybody should keep an eye on and that I've been hearing a lot about is defensive tackle Jordan Elliott. Everybody is worried about that defensive tackle position. Yep. The Browns feel really, really good about Jordan Elliott, their third-year pro. I think he will start out in a starting role. Now it's going to be up to him, but if he can really nail down that position, then they will be so much better off at that defensive tackle spot. So I would say he's someone to watch.
Mary Kay, have a great vacation. How long are you going to England for? I forgot.
Just for about a week, going over to visit our daughter who's doing an internship there. So.
Do you want to share on the air what your daughter is doing out there? Because it's pretty cool.
Oh, she's doing a marketing internship with She's doing a marketing internship with a company that it's called Beds and Bars. Yeah. And it sounds good.
Nice.
Well, I screwed up. It's your other daughter that with the circus, right?
Yes, my other daughter is in Quebec City, and she is an acrobat, aerialist, hair hanger. She is training to do Cirque du Soleil type work, gymnast all her entire life. And I also hope to get there this offseason.
Mary Kay, we appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you, Mary.
All right, Mary, thanks.
Mary Kay Cabot, Cleveland.com. She's headed over the pond. Guys, she gave you Jordan Elliott. That is an area of, we're a little worried about defensive tackle. Man. Breakout camp candidates. G, why don't you get us started here? Who you like?
Listen, I've been saying this for a while.
Yeah.
I think, it's between two guys. I'm not going to take two because one is low-hanging fruit. Listen, I think Grant Delpit is going to be an all-pro this year. I think Grant Delpit, finally the Cleveland Browns, we talked about this all the time. When we was coming up, you had Troy Polamalu destroying us. And then you go down to Baltimore and Ed Reed was roaming back there. We finally got a guy, I think, if he can get back to what he was doing his junior year at LSU, I think he's now had an opportunity. I've had 12, 13 surgeries, 2 ACLs. I tore my Achilles heel. You don't really get back to doing who you are. You have the injury, then the next year all you're doing is rehabbing just to get back to just base level, walking, playing ball. Then you get through that first year and you're like, okay, I'm out here, but you don't have any explosion. You don't have any sense of speed or agility because you haven't trained. Now he got that two years of training under his belt. He knows the system. He's in that Joe Woods system, and I think that he's going to be a guy that's going to play in the box. I think he's going to rotate down. I think you saw what he could do a little bit last year blitzing, but I think he's really going to be a difference maker in the secondary with the way Joe Woods wants to play.
Mike, what you got?
I totally agreed actually with Delpit, and you took mine, but I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
It's okay.
No, because don't worry, I got plenty of backups with these kids. I got plenty of backups with these kids because the person who's giving the best opportunity handed to him on a platter is David Bell. I mean, he's playing in the slot automatically right out of college. On an NFL team, he's essentially just taking the place of Jarvis Landry. That's not a bad spot to fill in for. And I think he's lined up in the best position right now to actually make something of himself. which seems like, I mean, everything I'm reading about sounds like he's looking good. Sounds like he has good hands. Sounds like he's not having a hard time keeping up with any of the different looks that they're showing him and stuff like that. So I'm hoping for him to do really well this year, and obviously we've also got to go Cade because I'm not trying to be you and give 15 answers. But I have a hunch I didn't steal yours with Cade because he's kicking up a storm. I just saw that
Jay's with Cade.
he actually just hit up Phil Dawson for advice, and I love that too. So.
Smart.
It's like he's doing all the right stuff, so I wanted to give a little love to Cade as well.
Brad, who you got?
Well, I got the two smart school guys, right? So one is J.O.K., Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. Right? I think that he's going to have a breakout season. I think when you have Clowney and Garrett on the ends, defensively it's solidified. You got a healthy Newsome.
Year under your belt.
Right. So I think he's looking for a real breakout season now. And then I'm equally on the other side. I just think Greg Newsome is going to be lights out this year, right? And I just like the corners we have, the way we have it set up. We have a chance. We really, and that's why I asked the question about Stefanski, because very rarely in professional sport do you get a chance to have the pieces. Well, let me tell you, he's got the pieces. He's got the bag. Right? What you gonna do with the bag here? Right?
Yeah, you're right.
And I think if they're training up these players, J.O.K., Newsome, this is the year they make the stance, the upgrade like Garland did. This is it.
Yeah. Guys, you all picked high drafted players. The kicker was drafted lower. I'm going to take a guy who's a little more of a veteran than the rest of these guys you have mentioned. I thought he'd have a breakout year last year. It didn't happen, and I'm going to predict it again this year. Donovan Peoples-Jones.
Yeah.
I liked him coming out of college. I thought he was underdrafted. I thought he really impressed as a rookie. I thought he showed solid improvement, and last year was a bit of a disappointment. But the whole team was a mess.
Right.
I think the team's going to be better. I'm hoping Deshaun Watson's going to play a lot of games, and thus he's going to bring along. You asked the question to Mary Kay, what do we do if Mark Cooper gets it?
That was
I'm
question.
hoping that Donovan Peoples-Jones turns into a legitimate number 2 receiver. I like all your picks. I like all those guys. Donovan Peoples-Jones. Guys, we got to get to something else. We'll get back to it. Listen, we talk football all the time.
Sure.
I'm very disturbed. I'm very stressed. I'm very aggravated. The great Joey Chestnut, I don't even know. I shouldn't be calling him great today.
Sure.
He let us down.
He did.
Yeah.
Yes, he won.
No, he let
but
America down. He let America down.
He failed America.
He did.
On Independence Day, he failed America. First of all, so did John Anderson. Could John Anderson be a worse play-by-play guy?
Embarrassing.
John Anderson, ESPN. I mean, how much money are you making at ESPN? Too much. I should have been doing that job. You were terrible doing the play-by-play. All right? I shouldn't say that. It's inappropriate. It doesn't help my career,
allowed.
but I'm going to say it anyway. He was terrible.
It's okay.
Okay? The event was amazing, although the one guy had so much hot dog schmutz on his face that it nauseated me, I'll admit that. But Joey Chestnut let us down. He only had 60-something hot dogs. What happened, guys?
It's a great question. It's a great question.
I think he's to the point where he's at the level of, a Michael Jordan or maybe a Tiger Woods.
Right.
He's so much better than the rest of them. He just takes his foot off the gas. He's like, look, man, I could just get down these little 50, 60, do my thing. I think he's so good. He left there and went and got some McDonald's. He left there and got another sandwich. Like, it was eating regular.
What's Joey
Dude, he's in
Chestnut?
Brooklyn.
What's
He ain't
Joey
eating
Chestnut
McDonald's.
making? How much does he make?
Yeah,
we can look that
He
up.
makes
actually
between $250 and $300K a year.
In endorsements.
He makes that much?
In endorsements. He wins
So I'm
10
not-
grand
He's
from
the
I'm
only
not
guy.
putting out another 10 dogs. I got that to do by 20.
My son says to me, Daddy,
not doing
my
it.
son says to me, you should become a competitive eater. I said, well, I don't think Mommy would appreciate that.
First of all, it's not size-based clearly.
No, they're all
clearly,
skinny, except for that Badlands Booker. Whenever did you see him right before they showed the hot dog contest? Badlands Booker. You guys know who he
No,
is?
do you know all
I
their
know them all.
names? Okay.
Matt Stoney, Crazy Legs Hirsch.
Wow.
All of them.
If we're on the air next year, I think we should do this.
Yeah.
Any hot
What
dog.
do you mean if? We will do
Right.
it. If.
Sugardale.
Yeah.
Whoever's around here.
Yeah.
You need to come in and sponsor us and give us a hot dog eating competition.
Whoever
Well,
wants
I'd
to.
rather do a different
No.
food. Can we do a different food?
whoever
All of us got to do
Let's
it.
do
Whoever
pizza
wants to
instead.
have their product on air and have us eat it and then throw it up in front of everyone.
Right.
Do it.
You can't throw it up. You lose the hot dog count.
Well,
if you throw it up.
Sugardale would lose regardless if
Have
they
you
saw
not seen
that.
the rules,
No.
Michael?
McNuggets. What you have to do? Like, what would you want us to eat? Top 5? Is it wings? Is it pizza? Is
My
it hot
point is
dog?
no
In a
matter what we
competitive
eat.
contest,
Yes.
I do think hot dogs is the most fun to watch because
But no
it's
can't eat that
disgusting.
many
They
hot dogs.
soak the buns in water. Like, can you think of anything
do it on a
less
day I'm not
appetizing
here.
than a bun
Brands
soaked
out.
in tap water? No.
No, but no matter what you do, I'm saying you're gonna have a hard time getting it sponsored because the sponsor automatically, it's grotesque
Yeah.
for the sponsor. So if it's like Arby's or hot
But
dogs or
Nathan's,
anything.
Nathan's gets good publicity out of
Yeah,
this.
it does.
Do people
Here's
more-
what I'd like: either shrimp, pizza,
Now we're going to shrimp.
maybe dumplings.
Uh-huh.
I don't want to do hot dogs.
We're going to shrimp.
I can, like, look, see, he gonna go to
French
shellfish.
toast,
I can,
pancakes.
I
I'm
can
in.
go crab legs, and
Crab
I will
legs.
take down anyone.
Yeah, well, you are
Anyone.
skinny. All these guys are skinny.
That's
Only
right.
Badlands Book is
I'm
the only fat guy in there.
I'm the
Right
Kobayashi of crab legs. That's his name.
He's gone. He
All
used
right.
to be Kobayashi. He was the champ, and then Joey Chestnut has won 14 in the last 15 years.
Do you have collector's cards of all these guys?
No, but by the way, they're not athletes. Stop
No.
with the they're athletes.
No.
Well,
Stop
hold on,
putting
that
the graphic
brings up
up
a good
against
question,
Rafael
Bull, though.
Nadal.
That brings up a good question. Is Joey Chestnut the GOAT of GOATs?
No.
Go
I mean,
to-
hey, hold on. Look at these championship comparisons. Steve, let's take this. Who's got more
Oh, it's
championships?
15 of 16. Sorry.
Joey
not 14.
Chestnut or Michael Jordan?
Right.
Joey Chestnut.
It's
Steve,
true.
go to the next one. Joey Chestnut or Tom Brady?
man.
These are
Joey
all
Chestnut.
like
Steve, go to the next
irrefutable.
one. Chestnut or Wayne Gretzky?
You had to go with that Wayne Gretzky picture.
that is a
He
weird
deserves
one.
better.
He looks like the greatest American hero. Remember
He
the show,
does.
The Greatest
He
American
also
Hero?
looks like the
That's what he
Cavs.
looks
And one
the
more,
center
Steve.
there.
Look at what's happening to me.
That's not Roger Federer, but it's okay.
Yeah.
The point stands.
Joey Chestnut is weird. First of all, look at his mouth. It's got like, that's why he eats so much. He's got like an extra wide mouth. By the way,
He has 2 extra rows of teeth. That's
yeah,
a fact.
probably does.
That's a fact.
And if you like,
you
he was
serious?
No,
playing.
I
He
made
had a
that.
boot on his leg. Like if you
Yeah.
could play a sport with a boot on your leg and win,
Right
it's not a
there.
sport.
Yeah,
It's-
that's a good point.
Don't tell me. Listen, nobody appreciates a competitive eater like I do.
That's not a sport.
I could be one, but it's not a sport.
That's not a sport. That's a competition.
No,
That's all.
competition.
It's not a sport.
It takes a skill.
Is it like
of some sort.
billiards?
you
Would
gotta
you
be able
compare it
to
to
eat.
billiards?
So
Yeah, billiards.
so my wife is Asian, right? And
Always bragging.
I mean, this ain't even a good brag.
Yeah.
She watches these, like, she doesn't watch regular traditional TV. Like, she watches these, like, shows where it's ASMR. And she
Isn't that a sexual thing?
I know.
No,
Yeah.
but no.
I don't know what that is.
Well, it could be, right?
BDSM?
Yeah,
What?
But basically,
What's it stand for?
So yeah. So ASMR is like you listen to people eat. So it's like
It's true.
It's true.
And people make a lot of
And
money doing it.
and so she watches these people from
Yeah.
like Asia eat ungodly
Wait a
sums
second.
of food.
Wait a second. There's
And
a lot
she
of
listens
questions
to it.
Mm-hmm.
She's just listen. It's just like that sound of them eating. There's no like
yes.
announcer.
No, she doesn't. The people are on YouTube.
Yeah.
They don't talk. They just eat.
She just listens to
And-
the
and
sounds of them
the
eating.
eating.
Yeah.
That's it.
See,
That is weird.
the thing is, there used to only be 3 television
Strange.
stations. So you just all had to watch something. But now everything can get so specific
Yeah.
that every one of your weirdest fetishes or
Yeah.
interests
Yeah.
can be
You can listen
acted
to a
upon
person
and listened
sleep.
to. You can watch someone sleep. You can just
It's-
watch a deer asleep in the woods if you want to, for like all day long. And there's too much stuff now. We shouldn't have access to everything we want to see in here at all times.
Why does she
it's
watch that?
murdering us.
It's like one of those things. Like my mom, I just found out that my mom watches like these beauticians who like they have people who have excess dandruff.
Oh no. Oh no.
And so I'm like, so my mom's like, you gotta watch this. I said, oh no, I'm trying
Oh, my
to eat.
God.
I'm trying to eat cheesecake with crumbles on the bottom. I'm
Yeah.
like, no.
People are so weird.
The things people do,
Yeah, the
you
things
find out a
people
lot.
do.
Speaking of weird things, let's talk to Mikey McNuggets.
I got 2 things real quick before we get to Aditi. Steve, take the breaking news stinger. We got breaking news, guys.
Make it real
We still have to add
breaking
sound to that. But remember last Thursday, when Mike Polk told us his foul ball story?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, Mike Polk Sr. just responded to that tweet somehow.
Whoa.
My dad has a Twitter
Yes.
account? Oh,
Yes.
no.
He has 9 followers, and he says it was 1987. I remember it fondly. Probably not my finest moment in parenting. So, Mike,
I am not following you back, Dad. Stay out of my DMs. I didn't even know he was on Twitter.
Is he following Mike?
hold on. Let me
I'm
do a little
sure he
investigative
is.
reporting here. He follows 9 people.
Is-
Please
Jay
don't.
Crawford, Stephanie Haney, Playhouse Squares, the Browns. He does follow Mike.
He is
does
so
follow
basic.
Mike.
So basic,
He
Dad.
doesn't follow G and I. Thanks a
Throw in
lot.
a
Any of us
curveball.
know.
He doesn't know how to find your Twitter handles. There's no way.
And one more thing before we bring Aditi on. Did
Yeah.
you guys see after the hot dog eating contest what Joey Chestnut did? Maybe
Oh, with
more
the guy.
impressive than what he did
Oh yeah,
during
with the
it.
guy.
Let's take the video, Steve.
takedown.
Let's see.
a protester tries to get in, and Chestnut chokeholds him and tosses him out the way.
And then he ate a hot dog.
You're like, get
What
out
does
of
that
here.
guy's sign say?
You're like, you cut it to the quarter
Can we
mil.
agree with whatever that sign said? It's not the right way to get this across.
It was about.
It was about Smithfield.
Yeah.
Smithfield's hot dog.
Amen.
Oh, it was pro Smithfield.
I mean, this guy looks
I
like.
not a PETA guy.
Did he snap his neck?
That's an Oscar Mayer plan.
was-
Man,
It's like-
Joey took it. I may have to change my opinion on whether they're athletes.
Yeah, I know. He took him
Joey-
down.
And he
That
did that
guy's
on
ass.
crutches.
Can you imagine trying to do that while you're that full, too?
That was
I
more.
would've-
I mean, that was more impressive than most NBA fights.
No doubt.
No offense, Brad.
No, I know.
Joey was cutting. They were
And if
cutting
you guys
Joey's-
didn't know,
they cut-
Chestnut was hurt yesterday. This was his equivalent
Yeah, I
of the flu
mentioned
game.
that.
He walked in
Good
on
to see Mike's not
crutches.
listening to the show because I just said that.
Exactly. I heard it.
Listen, I've been dealing with breaking news of Mike Polk Sr. here. This
Yep.
was
I mean, how pitiful does he look
You
there?
eat enough hot
That-
dogs, that's what you look
That
like.
was his flu, that was his Jordan flu game.
How do they stay so skinny when they eat all this food?
Man, you had
They
to go
throw
see him.
up.
You had to go see him after he eats it. What happens then?
Right, exactly.
He's purging. All right, let's bring in Aditi Kinkhabwala.
Here she
And
is
as always, when we have guests joining us, it is now brought to you by the Gridiron Guys. Are you
We'll get
looking
to
for
there
a local
eventually.
There it
group that you
is.
can
There
trust?
you go. Come on now.
Family owned
Get
since
the graphics
2003,
together.
the Gridiron Guys have grown to become Northeast Ohio's top-rated roofers. We exemplify quality work practices and are a valued resource for homeowners and offer a
Nice.
10-year warranty. Call 330-573-7967 today for a free estimate or roof inspection. What's up, Aditi?
Aditi.
Good morning. But what does a foot in a walking boot have to do with eating hot dogs?
Well, I
They
was
kept
saying that
saying
if
he
you
was
have a
injured.
foot,
Who cares?
if you have a foot, it can't be a sport if you can play it. If you can play it with your foot in a walking boot.
But who said it's a sport? It's just a disgusting exercise.
Well, I don't.
Like, it's
wow.
gross. Don't you
I don't
think
know
it's
that
gross?
we need to go as far to say it's disgusting. I mean, that sounds very judgmental.
I actually saw a great quote from Ted Lasso. Adam, did you retweet that actually?
The one
Ted
with him
Lasso
playing
tweet?
Darts.
Yes, where he
I
says,
tweeted that,
"Don't
yes.
be judgmental." Right?
Yes.
We need less of that in life. Okay, anyway, since we're talking about Twitter,
Yeah.
and Mike Cole, please tell your dad I'm really disappointed he doesn't follow me.
I'm telling you, he doesn't know how to look people up.
But apparently knows how to look Jay Crawford up.
Oh yeah,
And
probably.
he found you.
Yeah, Jay Crawford probably like wished him a happy birthday or something at some point. You know he did.
That is a thing Jay would do.
100%. Yep.
I'm a little bit more concerned about Mike's mom, though. Mike, does your mom have Twitter?
No,
chance.
my mom is not on any. Well, she might be on Facebook now, but even that, she has to my dad has to log on to it for her and stuff like that to get her.
Are we
on.
sure she's not YouTube commenting on these segments right now?
She
Mike,
re- yeah,
nuggets,
she's
you
not-
know every-
I don't think she knows that I do this. We have her and my dad, and she and my dad are very different people. My dad follows, he's watching right now, he's hearing my every word. I love him for that and everything, but my mom could not be less interested in this sort of thing. And that's why I respect her.
Yeah,
and I
but
respect
she's
you
honest
too, Dad,
about
but for
it.
different reasons.
Different,
yeah.
By the way, Aditi, speaking of our sponsor, Gridiron Guys, there was a movie with The Rock called Gridiron Gang. Did you ever see
Great
that
movie.
I didn't see it, but I know exactly what you're talking
Oh,
about.
my God. What is your favorite football movie of all time, by the way?
Oh, gosh. Oh, that's so hard.
Think about it. Anybody have their favorite? We like Gridiron Gang? I love that movie.
I think mine's still got to go be the
Remember the Titans?
original Mean Machine. What was that? The
Longest Yard.
Longest Yard.
Great
The
movie.
original Longest Yard. Burt Reynolds' Longest
that was
Yard.
good.
Much
That's
better
my
than the Adam
favorite.
Sandler
Remember
one.
the
Yep.
Titans. Remember the Titans.
Remember the Titans is a great one.
I can't do
Remember the Titans is a great one.
Although the
That
problem
one's
with Remember the
definitely a great
Titans is I read an article about it and it wasn't that realistic, apparently.
Well, then it's worthless.
But it was a great movie because Denzel's the best.
Sure.
I
But wait, why not realistic? I actually went to school. I have a friend, Michael Sharp, who's from that town, who knew that coach, who knew Herman Boone. Why was it not realistic?
In the article, there were people claiming that Herman Boone was really a horrible person to both black people and white people. It wasn't like a racial thing.
I can't believe they softened that for the sake of Hollywood.
Yeah, right.
That's
a
so
movie.
weird.
You
Of
know,
course,
you
that
gotta-
happens.
G, what's your favorite football movie?
I'm gonna tell you my worst one.
Okay, good.
What's the one? What's the one with
The
Sandra
Replacements, Any Given Sunday.
Sandra Bullock.
Oh,
Blindside.
Blindside.
Hey, listen, hold on.
I like The Blind Side.
bro.
That was supposed to be fake. I heard
That-
he wasn't.
yeah.
Ain't that's like this is crazy. That's like me walking up to Aditi and be like, "Yo,
Take
you
me home?
You trying to adopt me? Nah, bro. Nah, Big Mike. You know we're not about to do that. I'm walking around grown. Your husband looking in the house like this guy's in our refrigerator.
He doesn't fit in the bed.
Like come on, you around like these. I'm like you.
Aditi, would you like to adopt G? Would you? He's up for adoption.
I'm not
apparently.
so sure. G and I don't align on parenting things. So
No,
I feel like if I
she got all
adopted
kind
him,
of
he'd be really
rules. I
upset
gotta
with
be
my
asleep
little
at
brother and
11.
little sister. Gee, the other day I let my daughter eat something in the shopping cart while we were shopping, and I thought of
Good
you,
move.
and I was like, oh, if you were here, you would have been really upset. But oh well, I
Oh,
needed
so
to get to the shopping
so you're the mom
expenditure.
that lets people. So how much? So if you in the checkout line,
Yeah.
They're eating the grapes.
what you
It
allow
wasn't
them-
the grapes, though. It wasn't grapes. It was a box of cereal. So the box of cereal is going to cost
It's
what
the
the
same
box
price.
of cereal
Doesn't matter.
costs.
You had her digging in a box of cereal.
She's the only one that eats it. Her hands are clean.
This is a whole.
The poor kid was hungry. I took her straight from one spot to another. I brought her a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. She ate it, and then she was still a little
I got no
hungry.
A
problem.
lot of
That
rationalizations
is
going on right
painful.
now, everybody.
You got a problem with that?
I mean, I'd have got whooped. Don't you get in there and don't you touch nothing, boy. Don't ask for nothing. We don't care if you hungry or not.
You don't get the grapes.
Speaking though, as like a single person who grocery shops alone all the
Yeah.
time, if that made your child in the cart be quiet, I'm all for you filling your child with cereal or
Exactly.
whatever you got to do.
Yeah.
I'm more concerned, make your child happy and content and quiet while the rest of us grown-ups are shopping.
Mike, on the other side.
See, and
G-
I felt that
G and
that
I
was a
could
piece
probably
of
tell you
civic
something else.
responsibility.
Yeah.
Right.
Hey,
Sorry,
G,
Brad.
I'm sorry, Aditi. G,
Yeah.
I tell you, Aditi, for G and I, the parenting is a little different. You
Yeah.
get in the car, you start acting crazy, they give you the
Yeah.
look.
Oh, yeah.
The look is like,
All right, guys. Let's get to some football here, please.
I really want
We
to get
gotta
to the bottom of this
serious
cereal
right
thing.
now.
All right.
But before we do that, I once ate an entire pound of ham at the supermarket and never paid for it.
Hey!
And that was as an adult, not as a child.
Take that, Piggly Wiggly.
I stole from, I don't know. I don't know what supermarket it was. It wasn't in Cleveland.
No
It was-
shout
I
out.
thought you get serious.
No, but let's get serious now. Deshaun Watson still in the news.
Oh, God.
Doesn't that say it all right there?
Right? It's
Mike.
like,
The back of Mike's head says
no.
it all.
You know what? Let's skip Deshaun Watson. I'm making an executive decision.
I mean, no, we can talk about
No,
it, Adam.
no,
if you
I don't
want
wanna talk
If
about it.
anyone has something new, I'm listening.
No, that's it. We got nothing new.
we
Here,
have
better
all the
question.
facts.
Better question. We just had a quick conversation about a potential breakout candidate for the Browns in training camp. Let's go with that instead. We're also exasperated with the Watson situation. We talked about it already.
Are
Let's
you
move on.
exasperated? I thought that Mikey McNuggets told us it was great for ratings, that people just can't get
It
enough.
is, but we don't do things just for the ratings. We don't do things just for clicks. We do things because they're entertaining. So let's entertain everybody
Well,
by
have
talking
we
about a
talked yet
breakout
about
candidate in camp.
Oh, okay.
What's
Breakout
that?
candidate in camp. I'm
Yeah.
going to say the same one that I said a few months ago because it's the one that Kevin Stefanski told me, Harrison Bryant. I'm pumped about seeing Harrison Bryant and what he can do, what sort of security blanket he can be. And this is a division that has some really good tight ends. So let's see.
I love the line, I'm pumped about seeing Harrison Bryant, and I wonder if it's ever been uttered aloud before. I hope you're right. He was, there's a reason that he kept him around. He had some good numbers last year. He looked good.
I don't know.
I'm
To
excited for
me,
him.
he's an SWG,
What's an SWG?
a stiff white guy.
Okay.
Oh.
That's what he considers him.
I make everything about race. Sorry.
Yes. Aditi, I'll give you a real question.
Yeah. Real
Okay.
question. Let's get
Here-
serious.
Oh, that wasn't a real question?
That wasn't. That was a fake question.
So Mike brought up something when we were talking to Mary Kay. He says, God forbid Amari Cooper goes down in training camp with something nagging. To me, that'd be disastrous because I have no faith in. Can you imagine on third down you're looking for Anthony Schwartz to go over the middle and catch the ball? I don't know what David Bell is and Donovan Peoples-Jones was
Donovan Peoples-Jones.
is a 5-star recruit like 12 years ago in high school. Do they need or are you comfortable with the guys that they have behind Amari Cooper in the event Amari Cooper it goes down? I don't have that too much faith.
I think, you know what, G, I think this is what the difficulty is, right? All we've seen so far is football in shorts. And what can you really tell in football in shorts? Nobody's in pads. You can't see who can make a tough catch over the middle. I haven't been able to see the way that Anthony Schwartz has grown. I expect him to grow. Year 1 to year 2, you should be taking a really big jump of some kind. Some guys come in. Jamar Chase comes in and you expect Jamar Chase to be a superstar. But you know what? Antonio Brown came in and wasn't a superstar right away. He turned into a superstar. So I think it's fair to say, let's see what these guys actually have to offer during camp. I think that there's been a lot of unrest, right now. You sort of, you don't know who your quarterback is. You don't know what offense you're running. You don't know if Jacoby Brissett is the guy delivering the ball or Deshaun Watson is. It's all different from Baker Mayfield a year ago. So give me 2 weeks into camp and then let me answer how comfortable I feel. But in theory, on paper, sure, you'd love to see that room bulked up a little bit. You'd like to see a little bit more in the wide receiver core. But then I ask you this, who's out
How about
there?
Will Fuller?
Who are you getting?
Aditi, Will Fuller played with Deshaun Watson. I know had a lot of injuries, so you're not going to pay him a ton of money, but the guy, whenever he's been on the field, and again, it's not been that much because he's missed a ton of time due to injury, but when he has played at a very high level. If you could get him at a minimum salary, $2 million, $3 million, with a ton of incentives, there's a ton of upside with that guy, and he's got the chemistry already with Watson because he spent most of his career with him. I'm surprised that the Browns haven't gone in that direction. What do you think?
Well, I mean, we don't know that they haven't kicked the tires on that just yet. We also don't know what Will Fuller is asking for, right? It's easy for you and me to sit here and say, why don't you just sign for the veteran minimum? The same way that a week ago I was saying, why doesn't Baker just take the pay cut and prove who he is? It's easy for us to talk about somebody else's money or somebody else's salary. But I think we also had this conversation last week. You're a veteran. You've worked really hard to earn a certain amount of money, and it may take a period of time before you're willing to sit back and say, okay, you know what? I'll play for less than what I think my worth is. It's, one of your favorite sons in Cleveland, Joe Hayden. That's the situation he's in right now. I think Joe Hayden still has
probably too.
In him. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, and I respect that. You work really hard to get to a certain amount of money, to get to a certain salary, to get to a certain pay scale. It's hard to stomach the idea that you're worth less than that, and you want to hold out to see if you can get that. And as we all know, these veterans don't need to go through the dog days of training camp. Things can happen. Things do happen in training camp. People get hurt. Teams get more needy. And so then the market is a little bit better for you.
Aditi, I'm going to ask the first real question I've asked on about 7.5 weeks of this show.
Wow.
But you're talking about wide receivers. Is there depth within the Cleveland Browns receivers room? We also cover the Steelers, and they develop these all-pro receivers on a year-by-year basis. They never have a lack of talent in that room. Is there something in particular Pittsburgh does to develop these receivers that other teams around the NFL just aren't? Or can you kind of see the growth from Cleveland and what they have in this room as you kind of project that position group moving forward?
Mikey, it's so funny because I actually tried to pin Kevin Colbert down on this because I think that Kevin Colbert, who was the longtime general manager in Pittsburgh, he obviously just retired, was terrible at drafting cornerbacks, but tremendous at drafting wide receivers. As you know, Antonio Brown was a 6th-round pick, Mike Wallace, Emmanuel Sanders, guys, he got a lot of guys, Martavis Bryant, later in drafts that turned into stars. And he kept saying, if you've got a Hall of Fame quarterback, he can make the wide receivers look good. And I think there is some truth to that, is that Ben Roethlisberger is indeed a talent that is not the ordinary, regular talent. So let's see what these young wide receivers do now moving forward. I think that receiver is an easier position to transition into in the NFL. I think that that's part of why we see kind of what's happening in the wide receiver market right now and the way that you're seeing veteran wide receivers perhaps being moved to other teams before big contracts and rookies coming in and having an immediate impact. Again, I think a lot of it, a wide receiver can only do so much by himself. He needs the ball delivered to him. He needs a line that gives his quarterback time to deliver him the ball. He needs an offense that can scheme up ways to set him free if he is a guy that still draws double or triple teams. I think there is potential in that wide receiver room, and I don't think that the Browns would have spent as much as they would have on the quarterback position if they weren't going to give him anybody to throw to.
Aditi, I agree with you because your point about Jamar Chase down in Cincinnati, I think he being aligned with Joe Burrow down at LSU paid dividends for them. So his learning curve was not there. So I think the Browns are banking on the fact that Deshaun Watson is going to be under him. He's going to make the players better. But I want to get back to where I wanted to be from the beginning. How nervous are the Browns about this thing going south on them with Watson could be out an extended period of time? How nervous is really, I know it's people say on the surface, but how nervous are they really about this going south?
it is hard to believe, and we talked about this again, Adam, you asked this last week. It is very hard to believe that the Browns didn't try to discern how bad this could be. And by bad, I mean how long they would be without him. The thing that strikes me is so incredibly notable from everything we've heard of the hearing last week is that the NFL never entered into any sort of evidence the idea of force or coercion. And so we know that the NFL can do what the NFL wants to do. We know that whatever decision the federal judge hands down can then, of course, be appealed to the commissioner. We know that if the NFL's lawyers are advising the commissioner to seek an indefinite suspension, then the commissioner can hear that and can ultimately impose what he wants to. But you worry about that. If there's no evidence of force, if there's no evidence of coercion, then how can you ask for an indefinite suspension?
Right.
And
sure.
I think that is what the Browns are sort of banking on, that at the end of the day, the optics of this whole situation are really just very sad, very uncomfortable. They're just not good. I don't know how else to phrase it, okay? It's ugly. It's an ugly situation. But at the end of the day, there's a big difference between whether there is indeed force and coercion or there isn't. And one can always argue that there is implied coercion, there is implied force, there is implied fear. But the NFL never brought that up last week. So again, none of us were in that room. We don't know what the entire case is. We won't be in the decision-making room. I think it's very interesting that Sue Robinson has asked for briefs as well. This is clearly going to be dragged out further as those briefs aren't due for another week still. So, there you go.
Yes, I think that the briefs are a normal part of any arbitration. They were going to come. I'd say what I think is how long she takes to handle them. Because it could be, it's not going to be 3 or 4 days. I'm going to tell you that now.
No, but that tweet from Florio there, and I've had my beef with Florio over the time, but that tweet, if he's right, and we don't like his source, maybe it's probably a Players Association source. Or
no, I've had that verified. I've had somebody tell me that that's
okay. So that's true. So so Aditi's saying, Mary Kay was saying like, hey, it's kind of going in a positive way. Aditi's saying now that she can back up what Florio said here from her sources. If that's true, to me, when I read that, Aditi, as you brought up, I felt like that was a game changer. Now, I've been saying 8 games all along. I never bought the whole season. But now, as you just said, how do you suspend a guy for a whole season when he didn't force, coerce, or threaten? I don't understand. Like, even if there's implied coercion, and he did, and even his lawyer has admitted he's broken, NFL rules about conduct. So you give him whatever it is, 4 to 6 games, maybe 8 at the most, and then move it along. I just don't see how it could be any longer than that.
The one thing, though, I do want to say, Adam, is that we don't want to diminish implied coercion. Because certainly you can be in a position, whether it is a superior, whether it is somebody that is bigger than you, whether it is somebody who holds the power of your employment in their hands. It doesn't necessarily have to be a physical or violent threat to feel coerced, to feel forced. So let's not diminish that. I'm just saying the fact that not even that was brought up feels a little bit significant to me. Because coercion does take different shapes. And again, I wish that I could just write it off as a black or white thing, but we keep sitting here and saying this. This is so gray. This is so gray in so many ways. And the NFL is not following or is not required to follow. It's its own world. It's its own space. And so the NFL can essentially mete out whatever punishment it wants. I think that the Browns from the beginning have believed that there's a certain sort of logic to this and how it goes, but it's not necessarily the way that things work. So I guess, again, it is still wait and see, and you'd like to believe that there is indeed a decision before training camp begins.
Aditi, let's go with the worst case scenario for, I think, the public. Best case scenario for the Cleveland Browns and Deshaun Watson. If she comes back and she says 0 games based on the evidence and then based on how they handled other cases, what do you think the backlash is? what is the public sentiment if he gets 0 games?
I think it's divided because that's what we are as a country. I think that everybody looks at a specific situation differently. I mean, look, I don't know how we kind of got into this piece of it, but you see what happened in Illinois yesterday so tragically, and you have a gubernatorial candidate viewing that and saying, okay, let's move on. You know, some people will look at that and say, okay, Deshaun Watson is vindicated. Okay, this was, you know, some women looking or some lawyer looking to do something. And then you'll see a whole other group of people say, yet again, it's women not being listened to, or it's women not being taken seriously. There's no pat answer to that.
No,
Can you see how like this is making me
it's
so
it's hard.
Aditi,
you know what? It's uncomfortable for everyone. There's just not a clean answer, and I think so much of it is because we don't have all the facts. And I hate the idea of sitting here and speaking with authority without ever knowing the full story. And I don't know that we ever will know the full story.
Aditi, I agree with you. I don't think we're ever going to know the full story, and I will tell you this, and I appreciate your viewpoint on it because you're giving us the woman's perspective on how it goes. Let me be clear. Deshaun Watson is never going to get vindicated because even if he clears it, it's always going to hang over his head, right? And I think the worst thing that could have happened to him and the NFL and the Browns was the fact that because your implied coercion case was not made by the prosecutors in Texas. Once they couldn't make that case, because if they had it, they would have made it. Because all they had to do was get a preponderance of evidence to just get him in court. They couldn't even get him in court, right? So now they're stuck. And they're caught in this little gray matter world between both worlds, and now it has to play itself out. And be clear, what I read between the lines, the NFL is looking for an off-ramp. Everybody's looking for an off-ramp here. And I don't think that it's coming because whatever ramp you choose, there's going to be somebody waiting at the end of it talking about you got off the wrong exit.
You're 100% right, Brad. But I think at the end, though, the sooner it's decided, the better. Because eventually everybody moves on just like they do from every other story. Yeah, it'll hang over him. You're right. He's never going to clear his name. But Aditi, like, even if you're right, we're going to be split, right? If it's perceived as too little, then the people that are angry that these women are being not listened to or whatever, those people are going to be angry. If it's considered too strong, then the people who think it's a racial element with Watson or they're mad because they're a Browns
I don't know,
fan.
racial. It might just be, are you legislating morality here?
Right.
Like, are you,
that too.
You know,
that too.
Are you getting
a
worried about
variety of things.
promiscuity? I don't know what it is. I'm just saying it's something.
No, you're right. You weren't saying racial. I was saying whether it's racial, whether it's morality, whether it's I'm just a Browns fan, so I don't want to get suspended, so I'm going to ignore everything he did. Whatever it is, there's going to be some people angry, but those people are not going to stop watching football. It's not going to affect TV ratings. Ultimately, however this turns out, football, I believe, will not be negatively affected at all. Do you?
No, and I think that that's part of it is that, you know, we love to sit here and say we want our sports icons to be, you know, infallible. We want them to be on a pedestal. We want them to be pure and clean in every way. Well, you know, what human is. And so I think sometimes you just don't want to know as much about it. And it can be light or it can be really heavy like this. Brad, I'll tell the story. Last night I was at dinner with people and we were talking about people that you admire from afar and then you meet them in person and it either greatly makes you feel good about who you loved or it disappoints you in some way. Yeah. And so when I was a little girl, I loved the New York Knicks and Charles Oakley was my absolute favorite player. And Charles Oakley was an enforcer and Charles Oakley threw his body everywhere and Charles Oakley pulled down every rebound. And Brad, I met Charles Oakley and he had this high-pitched voice that totally did not who I thought it was. And I remember going home so disappointed, like, wait a minute, that's Charles Oakley.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's silly, but it's when you don't know somebody, you want them to be a certain thing. You create an image of them. But again, what human is perfect? What human lives his or her life exactly as you want him to live his or her life? I just think that that's sort of when we get into this, you know, are you disappointed? Are you upset? Are you whatever? And we just have to leave it to the rules of the game, whatever the game is.
Aditi, the one thing that I disagree with Adam on here is that I do think that this isn't going to go away for some people in a way that other things have not stuck. I think that they've lost a portion of this fan base because of this move, because of what a lot of people consider to be the pretty heinous stuff that Deshaun Watson allegedly did. That I don't think we're going to be seeing some of these people back, and that was a decision the Browns made going into this when they made this.
Mike, until they win. What I will say is until they win.
So you think that you don't think anyone's being sincere about this? You don't think any women are being sincere? Female Browns fans are being sincere about this? If the Browns start winning, all of a sudden they'll be like, okay, he wasn't such a creep anyways. I like the Browns.
I'm not saying everybody. I'm not saying 100% of the fan base by any means. I mean, I know several female Browns fans that are really sort of having a day of reckoning over this. But I can also tell you that people said something very, very similar about Ben Roethlisberger after the incidents in Milledgeville, Georgia, and out in Nevada, and there were lots of women wearing Ben Roethlisberger jerseys, and lots of women crying on his last home game this past year. So, I mean, the guy he won 2 Super Bowls, and I think that, and I don't say that disrespectfully when I say it that way, but you're right that some people can't ever shake it. Mike Vick to me is an example of a guy who's always been a great teammate, who's always been well liked, one of the most dynamic athletes our generation has ever seen, who committed some heinous acts and served time for it. Time, went to jail. The country decided that he had decided that he had rehabilitated himself enough such that he could have a pet dog. Mm-hmm. He was signed by the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the Steelers were absolutely eviscerated. Mm. And the hate on talk radio forever for Mike Vick while he was here in this town, people were unwilling to forgive and move on. So it is a possibility, Mike. I'm not saying it's not, but I'm also saying there's the flip side to that, in that, Ben Roethlisberger was ultimately forgiven. Yep. Greg Hardy was re-signed,
Nobody was.
These are things that happen.
When little Benny was playing his last NFL game, as you mentioned, they were lauding him on TV. There was no talk about how bad a human being he was.
Or how badly he played that game.
When we talk about legislating morality, how shocked were people when out it came what Tiger Woods' private life was, and how faithful he was or was not to his wife. And now look at all of it. Who even brings that up now? Now he's in here.
Forgot.
And that's it.
Tiger had one more shot in him.
Right.
Right. We all worship Kobe now too.
Exact same thing. And we will all. There will be some people that Mike says you're right. There's going to be a percentage, but ultimately, it's always like, it's a bad look for the league. Bad look for the league. It is, but it doesn't really affect them in reality. All right, let's get to our top 5. Aditi in the mix for the top 5 as well. Mikey McNuggets, what do we got for today's top 5?
Today's top 5 is the best mind-numbingly stupid but good TV shows of all time. Just the best ways to pass time when you're stuck on a couch. And as always, the Ultimate 5 is sponsored by Roundstone Insurance.
Great insurance.
Roundstone offers a better alternative for affordable quality health care. For more than a decade, Roundstone Insurance has been saving small and mid-sized businesses money up to 20%. Yeah, 20%. Contact us today to learn how you can get great health care benefits that your employees will love and save money too. So without further ado, let's get into this. Aditi, real quick before we start, do you have a favorite, just mind-numbingly, pass the time? If you see it on, you can pass 45 minutes by watching it.
HGTV.
Oh yeah.
Good answer. It did not make my list, but it's a good answer.
Aditi, I was on that yesterday. Yes, I was.
I love makeovers. I love the before and afters. I was making my 2.5-year-old watch with me yesterday, and she goes, "Oh, so pretty," and I was like, "Oh yeah, that's a girl after my own."
That's
Get you
nice.
some Love It or List It.
I like little House Hunters, Practical Jokers. Go ahead.
I don't like
G.
House
Bush.
Hunters. That one's fake. I like Love It or Listed, or I saw a new one yesterday, Farmhouse Fixer.
Oh yeah, Farmhouse Fixer.
A former New Kid on the Block.
Yeah.
I think
That sounds so
House Hunters
tedious.
is fake. I know the whole thing is a setup, but they actually buy those houses, don't they?
I guess. I mean, I don't know. I had an audio guy in Pittsburgh who worked on it.
Don't shake Bull like this. Don't tell him it's not real.
I know reality shows are not real.
The renovation. I like the before and the after.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, Mikey, let's get our list here. What do we got?
There's a little before and after in my first choice. Number 5, Naked and Afraid. They changed so much in 21 days. The survivalist. G-Bush, you look like you've never seen this show.
No.
I've
They
never
get
seen
dropped in the
it.
middle
You're
of the
watching
Amazon.
Naked
They got to
and Afraid?
survive for 3 weeks with no supplies. It's
I
a
don't know what
survival
that
show.
is.
Oh,
I don't know what
I
that
don't want to
is.
see anybody naked.
I know what it
porn.
is,
I mean, come
but
on.
it's nothing I care to indulge in.
Mikey, I don't know where you be pulling these from, but keep going.
That's on Discovery Channel. It's very normal. It's a very normal
You're not
show.
watching Naked and Afraid, are you?
I don't know what that is. I have no idea.
It's a
Nobody-
survival show. They get dropped off in the middle of the Amazon and they got to
all I
survive
know
3
is
weeks.
that Discovery Channel you have to pay for on streaming, so Mikey's paying
Mikey,
for
you
the
got too
side
much time on
show.
it.
I heard of it. They asked me to be on it, but
But they were too afraid.
for certain reasons, I didn't want to show anybody up, so I had to stay off the show.
Right.
Go ahead.
All right, well, hopefully you guys have heard some of the next ones. Let's go to number 4. My man John Taffer, Bar Rescue.
I'm not watching the show.
I love it.
This guy's a tool.
You know what, guy? Listen, yeah, you know what? I'm going in. I can't take it anymore. He's the higher pitch voice of Bull. He brings
Yes. Yes.
Is he not?
Yes.
John Taffer. Shout out to him,
I
man.
saw him. I watched it once and saw him like screaming at this woman, and I'm like,
Yep.
what is he doing?
Yeah, your place is a dump.
I
You're
only scream
failing.
at kids in Little League.
What's the matter with you? Yeah, just somebody yelling at some restaurant owner about how terrible their place is for
Yeah.
a while, and then turning it around.
Love it.
Yeah, but you know, I
virtually
will say this. Have
HGTV,
you
but
guys
for
seen
bars.
The Prophet? Wait, have you seen The Prophet? Is that
Never
what
heard
it's
of
called?
that.
What, like Mark Malusis? What's his name? He like goes in and he saves failing businesses.
Mark
It's called The
Malusis
Prophet.
is a talk show host in New York.
All right, not that one. I'm gonna
I
find
watched
his name.
an
but that's
interesting
a good
thing
show.
though about
Kinda like-
after they do those saving the business things, they
Yeah.
went back like a year later and
They're done.
like almost all of those places have closed.
Yeah.
They're like, but we put in
Marcus
a pinball
Lemonis.
machine.
Marcus
We thought
Lemonis,
this would
that's his
work.
name.
Yeah, it doesn't always work. Most of the time it doesn't.
All right.
Well,
Number
All
3.
right.
Number 3.
Number 3.
Let's add a little competition to the mix. Ink Master.
So
I don't
these
have
are
any
all
tattoos, but
reality
I love
shows.
watching people
Are
get
you
tattoos.
watching all these shows?
Are they all reality shows that you
These
think?
are shows that, like, if they're on and I need to kill an hour, I can sit on the couch and enjoy it for an hour.
But you exclusively watch
mean-
reality programming?
Just
No, well-
rewatch A Few Good Men or Remember the Titans.
No, but I can't start a movie and not finish it. You know, I'm very dedicated
Yeah, but
to
what
specific
about like
episodes.
Law and Order or?
Yeah.
Don't like Law and Order, too serious.
Impractical Jokers.
Not funny.
What?
Practical Jokers is so hit or miss.
It is hit or miss. I'll give you that. But you can't say it's not funny. It's sometimes not funny. But it's more hit than miss. Although it's not good anymore because Joe's not on the show
My
anymore.
only complaint, not about that, I don't
Yeah.
care about that. My only complaint is that we need to start changing this Ultimate 5, like this phrase right here. That font has to say best mind-numbing TV shows for Mikey McNuggets.
Right, yeah.
This makes it look like it represents all of us
Yeah,
for
we don't like any of
humanity.
these shows.
And then you just come out of nowhere with just personal stuff. You've got to put a little logo of your face on it or something. I don't want to be associated with your shows. What
Fair
if somebody
point.
just looks at the screen
That's a fair
grab
point.
and it says Ultimate Best Mind-Numbing TV Shows and it says Naked and Afraid and everybody's like, oh, Polk really likes Naked and Afraid? I don't want to be represented
Yeah,
by
we're
you.
lumped in with you Naked and Afraid.
And I'm lumped
That's a
in with
great
all your
point.
takes, so it goes both
That's
ways,
true.
guys.
But we have good takes, though.
Yeah.
And this is a
Well,
great
not
list.
all.
All right, number 2.
Go ahead.
Shark Tank. This one actually is a good TV show. It's mind-numbing but intelligent.
I've
and
never
I feel
watched it.
smarter.
Anybody watch
You've
Shark
never
Tank?
watched. What do you guys do?
We don't listen. Obviously not what you're doing.
Shark Tank is
It's okay.
it's decent. It all depends. I don't like when there's obviously a good deal. They just have to turn it down because their boys like it. My boy, he wants it. I don't want it. Sometimes they just turn down just for the sake of it.
When they say mind-numbing shows, it's one that I'm gonna binge watch like off the hook. Like I could tell you, Bull, I would
Yes.
watch
Walking Dead.
Walking Dead like it's nobody's business. I can watch it from the beginning day
Agreed.
to the end, right?
Agreed, but I think Mike's doing shows that like you could not pay, like kind of have on,
These
but
are
not pay
shows
attention
that you
to.
could, like, it's perfect to have on in the background. You tune in for a few seconds, you check your phone, you tune out.
I
you
wouldn't
tune
watch
back
the
You
in.
show.
can't
I
because it's a
wouldn't watch a show
reality
like
show.
that.
It
Neither
has
would
an
I. I
arc.
agree.
Like, we're talking about shows like The
Either I'm gonna
Sopranos.
watch it or I'm not gonna watch it.
Watch The Sopranos.
But it's not important, Aditi. That's why it's perfectly mind-numbing.
That's not mind-numbing.
Maybe we had to clarify the mind-numbing. All right, let's just get to number 1. You guys hate my list
Move
already.
on. It's a terrible list.
I might get Chopped for this one, but Chopped is the best show
Thank you.
on TV
I'll-
to watch.
I'll
when you just
give
need
you
to
that.
kill an hour.
I'll give you that.
I don't watch that.
Chopped is one of the best shows. You can have it in the background. They're relatively quick. You can jump in and jump out. You know somebody's gonna get eliminated. They have to do 3 or 4 dishes, and it's pretty cool. I like Chopped.
Another thing it should say, it should specify reality shows
Yeah, I
in,
know.
in this thing.
The only reality show I ever watched was A Shot at Love with Tila Tequila, and honestly, that's just because she was hooking up with guys and girls, and I found that fascinating.
You know that was a farce too?
then she became a racist and like a anti-Semite, and so we couldn't watch it anymore. But
all of these admissions.
Taylor Tequila, that was
she
like
was off them.
She was not actually
We're
bi.
gonna have to view
it's
his.
just a thing.
It was for
Imagine
Right, it
his
was the only
internet
reason worth
history.
watching.
We're gonna have to view his list.
Aditi,
Sorry,
we don't know where this went off the rails, but what's your mind-numbing show that you watch, like to have on in the
Law
background?
and Order.
Is it Law and Order?
It used to be Law and Order, maybe Blue Bloods now.
Okay.
That's on in the background a lot. If we're talking about regular TV, if you're not like on Netflix
Yes.
and doing, Drive to Survive or
Yep.
Calling Up the Sopranos or something like that. But if it's just like what's on TV, Blue Bloods is constantly on like 6 channels.
By the
So-
way, final thought on this: the Law and Order Criminal Intent with Vincent D'Onofrio was the best Law and Order outlet, in my opinion.
Oh, I was an SVU person.
Yeah, SVU.
I like SVU.
I've heard Mariska Hargitay is a terrible human being. I've heard that from multiple sources.
Yeah. Okay.
She's a bad tipper. I know 3 different people that have waited on her in New
just
York and
want her
said
to
she's
act.
a rude and terrible tipper.
You're still gonna watch the Browns even no matter what happens with Watson.
I don't
you can
care.
watch this one.
Fair point.
Thank
You know what? I stopped watching the Cosby shows, though. I will say that. Do you still watch the Cosby Show?
No.
I mean, it's so
you
dated,
not
that
watch
show,
it the same
anyway.
way?
No, I don't watch it, but I still say this. I think it served its purpose at the time. I don't think I think it helped at the time.
Yes.
And I don't think that takes anything away from it. You just don't watch it now, but
Right,
it did
now
a lot
it's
of good at the time.
Yes,
Now,
agreed.
Didi, I will say this. I stopped listening to all of R. Kelly's music. All of it.
So, me too.
You did.
Finito.
Me too.
What
He
about
don't
Michael
even
Jackson?
exist.
What about Michael
What
Jackson?
about Michael Jackson? Good point.
Hey guys, hold on. Steve, take it. We have real breaking news.
You got us out of
Aditi,
good.
you gotta go.
Got us out of a good
boy.
situation
We
there.
love you.
Aditi, thank you. But real quick, this is actually serious.
Really?
This from Dennis Dodd of CBS. The Big 12 in deep discussions to add 6 Pac-12 teams after USC and
Oh, wow.
UCLA defected to the Big 10. The Pac-12's
Does that
dead.
make it the Big
Literally
18
dead.
in the?
So let me jump in
does anybody
here.
care, though?
No, this is
Yeah.
here. This is where my final take's going to
Yeah.
touch on this, but I'm gonna just tell you this is where this is going.
Good.
This is exactly where it's going because those Pac-10, Pac-12 schools,
Yeah.
the ones that are remaining, had to go somewhere.
Yeah.
Right. And so
But why would they go to the Big 12? The Big 12 is going to be done. They got nobody.
because they have to combine now. There's only 2
All
ways.
right, now we're
one
down
way
to
to
4
go.
conferences. By the way, in my
What happens to all those non-revenue sports? What happens to women's
well,
field
they'll
hockey?
these schools are going to still make a ton of
Travel all over
money.
the country, fly commercial on a Tuesday, and then be in class on Wednesday.
Good point.
So, Didi, I will tell you, like,
everybody's a hypocrite in
since I'm a
college
Big
football.
Ten guy. The Big Ten is probably has a chance to make $110 million a school, right? It's
Per year.
It's per year. It's going to now prop up the other sports, where that was coming out of the general revenue fund from basically Ohio State football and just a little bit of Ohio State basketball.
Yeah.
The money deal is what is driving this, right? And it's all here. I will say it is all the NCAA's fault. They did not cut the deal with the players from the beginning, and now the bigger schools are now really looking at the NCAA like, do I really even need you?
No, exactly. And Brad will have more on this in his final take. Aditi, we thank you for your time. Love
Thanks
you.
for
We'll
having
see
me,
you
guys.
later.
Thank you,
Aditi.
Didi.
Thanks, Aditi.
Bye.
And
One last thing to the update. The
Yeah.
6 schools, they've named 4. It would be Arizona, Arizona State, Colorado,
Yeah.
Utah, and 2 more to be named, which could potentially be
Yeah.
Oregon and Washington, but that's not officially confirmed.
on my podcast
Powerhouses.
today, I talked about how the powers that be in college football are total hypocrites. You have guys, these older coaches, not our guy Ryan Day, but these older coaches like Nick Saban whining about transfers and NIL. Meanwhile, these schools are making more and more money. It's not amateur athletics. Stop with the amateur athletics.
Yeah.
That is dead.
That's done. Yep.
It's just another level of professional football.
Right. Yep.
That's it. All right, we'll get back to more of this before the end of the show. But guys, the Guardians, awful. Yeah, and really outside of Sunday, since we last been on, it's been a disaster. They had they had a doubleheader on Saturday. They got crushed in both games. A great performance by McKenzie on Sunday against the Yankees. They held on with Clase in the 9th. And then yesterday, they get swept in a doubleheader. And they had won 17 of 21. They've now followed that up by losing 10 of their last 14. They're 3.5 games back, as you see there. Only 2 up on Chicago. They're playing only the White Sox, the Tigers, and the Royals between now and the break. I think 12 games, I believe they have left between now and the break, guys. But you knew with a young team there'd be ups and downs. There's some serious peaks and valleys. They had those 2 great come-from-behind wins against the Twins and a nice win Sunday against the Yankees. But overall, for the last 2 weeks, they've been pretty awful.
Bull. You talked about it. This is what happens when you got a team. They're very young, but you can't count on that, man. Like when you got young guys, you can't count on those dudes to be consistent. That's what
Yep.
the problem is. They show you flashes, but the consistency isn't there. And especially when it comes to run support, this is why if the Guardians really, and I kept asking this question, at what date are you going to punch them in as literal contenders? And I mean for a wild card, for battling for the division. They're 3.5 back, but we're starting to see the separation. You see the White Sox, and the White Sox have played as bad as they possibly could have played.
And they're only 2 back, yeah.
And if they get healthy, they have to be feeling great about themselves. They said, we 2.5 back.
Not to mention the Twins have more guys on the injured list than any other team in the American League.
You playing smoke and mirrors here, right? You see the difference between the Yankees and the Guardians, right? You got a very young team and a very experienced team, and those two worlds usually collide. It usually doesn't go well for the young, inexperienced team, and so we got some bandwidth to grow with. But I will tell you this: 3.5 back at this point of the season. From the beginning of the year, I don't think anybody here could say be kicking cans with that, right?
Yeah.
We still have a ways to go, but G, to your point, you can only do smoke and mirrors so long. At some point, you're going to need some real players here to get you over the hump.
Yeah.
It's the same question we had with the Cavaliers earlier. At some point, somebody's got to help you get over the hump. Yes, it will.
Mike, they got to spend. They need reinforcements. They got 3 holes in the lineup, certainly a catcher in center field. Are you confident as a fan that they will spend some money here to get better, or no?
No. But
could you be
sweet child?
It wouldn't completely shock me. I think they probably will make some kind of move, but it'll probably be not enough for most of us, and I don't know. But I do know this. I remember a couple of weeks ago, or last week, Guardians are hot. You see the whole town getting hyped about it finally. And they're outdoing our expectations, and everybody gets excited. But a part of me in the back of my heart is just like, can't beat the math. You just can't beat the math for too long. You can do it for a while. You can get excited. We're talking about how at the beginning of the season we assumed that our starting pitching would be the strength. Somehow it ended up being contact hitting for the most part, and the bullpen looks good. But eventually, if Jose Ramirez isn't hitting, you're screwed. If you can't we're not in a position where Franmil Reyes can take 2 months off because we got nobody behind him. Yeah. That's the thing, and that's always the problem with our team is that you don't pay for championships, you don't pay for titles if you're one of these big spending teams. You pay for competitiveness, and you pay for depth.
Yes.
You pay for depth and competitiveness. You might not make it, but you have a hell of a lot better chance if you've got somebody behind them, and we just got nothing behind us. It's just nothing back there.
And Jose is cold, and as Jose goes, the team goes more than almost any other hitter, if not any other hitter in all of baseball. You're right, the pitching's been a disappointment. James Karinchak made his 2022 debut yesterday. Was unimpressive. I didn't like what I saw from him. He's got good talent, but he doesn't look like the same guy we saw a year ago. Eli Morgan, who I've been high on, has not been as good lately. Clase's been great. I'm worried about the defense at first base, although Owen Miller did make a nice play in the second. Can't remember now if it was the first game or the second game where he made that diving.
Second game of the doubleheter.
It was the second
really
game,
nice
right?
play.
Yeah,
I don't want to be down on these guys though either.
No,
you know what I mean? Like the
There's
thing
a lot
is,
of things to be
they
excited
hit some
about with
skits,
this
and they're still fun to watch. They're a fun young team and everything. It's almost just like upsetting to see how good and young and excited they are, and just knowing based on history and based on math that they can only go so far with this.
This is an important stretch, G and guys, because you're playing the White Sox, Tigers, and Royals. They got to pile up some wins against these teams.
And I want to ask you this, because for a lot of people, what is the organizational, I guess, blueprint, right? So you got a young team. They're the youngest team. You and Jay talk about it all the time. That team is young. What is their blueprint? Are they gonna be willing to just let them go along and mature, or are they going to infuse talent here or there to specific parts? And what is the profile of those players that they're looking to get? Are they not willing to do long-term deals? What players are they looking for with their cap, with their financial restraint?
I'm hopeful they will spend some money. I'm not confident they're going to do it this trade deadline. Not money of significance, as you said, Mike. They'll do something, but nothing that's going to get us overly excited. We're always left wanting more, or often left wanting more with what the Guardians do. I think they'll raise the payroll next year, but I can't confidently say they're going to raise it significantly. Hopefully this new owner in the mix will change that a little bit. But they need, they have a lot of good young talent, but you can't just rely. You're not going to consistently win when almost all of your players are young and inexperienced. It's so hard in baseball. You need that time. You need to adjust because you see it with all these young guys. They play well. The league adjusts to them. It takes them a while to readjust. We're seeing it with a lot of their players. Off and on, and so it's tough. But
we're going to see how everybody thinks they did, how they're going to do tonight now with Good Bet, Bad Bet. How's that sound?
Coming up.
Well, G, your profile is this. They're probably looking to add some guy that is senior in age and performance, who has played well and can come in and help bolster up the young people. You're not going to get. I don't see them making a move for good young talent to really
Nothing long term.
Because I don't think that they're there yet. I mean, they're in a market that does not support that. When you drawing 13,000, 14,000,
they had big crowds against the Yankees,
but that's the Yankees, right?
Yeah.
So, but if you driving 14,000,
yeah,
I don't think that you can do that.
I don't think they're going all in or getting rental players. I do think they're going to trade Shane Bieber, and I think it could be at this deadline. It's certainly going to be this offseason.
Well,
he will not be here next year.
No, I know.
I think very likely.
That'd be a shame with how they're playing right now. That would really take the wind out of the room.
It would. Yeah. All right, let's get to Good Bet, Bad Bet. I know I thought I was going to go 3-0, but then Joey Chestnut let me down.
I took the L on that one
JC.
too.
Disappointing. Yeah, Bull went 2-1. Let's take the full standings here, Steve.
Yeah.
Jay's off this week, but he's still sending in his
Good
bets.
man.
I'll let you guys
Of course
know
he is.
what Jay does. We do have a new leader in the clubhouse, Mr. Bull. You're back on top.
Back on top.
And Brad,
10 over.
tough Friday. You went 0-3, so we need to rebound
under 500.
here.
Oh, I'm under
For the
500.
first time. So today's first bet, Guardians favored by a 1.5. And G. Bush, you're the lone detractor.
Who did
Even
Jay
Jay
take,
said
by
good,
the way?
but Jay said good.
Okay. Lone detractor, G.
Yeah,
What do you got there?
I don't.
Just not feeling it?
I didn't like them in that doubleheader. I didn't like that.
You didn't care for that?
No.
Okay.
Next up, under 9 runs in the Guardians-Tigers game. Jay took good as well, which means
Mike and I are at bad. I understand why everybody thinks they're going to score a lot. They're going to have a lot or not a lot of runs in this game because the Guardians' offense has been terrible. I think they're due for a breakout, Mike. It seems like
I just saw that. I looked at the pitching matchup, and whoever the Tigers have pitching looks like everybody's shelling them. That was
he's terrible. He's a journeyman 4A pitcher.
Yeah. So that's
but the Tigers had two. Well, that's not fair. They had 2 young guys who just got called up to start yesterday. They both pitched well, but
right.
I agree with you today. I think it's
hopefully, hopefully they.
Plus Quantrill, it's Quantrill, right, tonight for the Guardians.
Quantrill, yeah.
He's a solid pitcher, but he gives up a lot of contact.
Yeah.
He's not a strikeout guy. All right, what's the last one, Mike?
Last one, Stephen Kwan will record a hit. Just favorable odds here. Jay took bad.
No, it's Mike
so
and
it
I
is a
again.
split house here.
Yeah, just hoping. I'm hoping Quan can. I just have a hunch. Again,
Coin flip, right?
It is. What are you going to do?
Well, it makes sense that Mike and I pick good there because we both think there's going to be a lot of runs, which means
he's heating
more
up.
likely
And-
Quan will do something.
Yeah.
I got a 4-3 game.
Yeah.
4-3.
That's what you're looking at?
Yeah.
And you're calling a loss, too. Aren't you a
Yes.
ray of sunshine today? Good Lord.
The Guardians got to win by 2, don't they?
Win by 2, correct.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
All right, and that's good bet, bad bet. All right, Mike. Do I send it to you or am I introducing
Do you
this?
want to introduce it? Do you want me to introduce it? What do you want to do here?
Well,
Hey,
I'll do some, and then you, if there's anything I left out.
Can we just
So-
agree, honestly? Let's take a moment and be supportive of our castmate that, Bull, you're doing a great job in that chair today, buddy. You are.
Thank you.
You are.
Absolutely.
That's not an
Absolutely.
easy
I
thing to do.
appreciate
Well done. Nice job.
I appreciate that. I'm having fun.
So-
Guys, so last week was the end of the regular season for my Little League team. Tonight is our playoff game. One of the other coaches sent me a text.
This is it.
He sent me a text. He's like, good luck tonight. We're rooting for you.
Now, does everyone get a playoff game?
Everybody does.
Okay, all
Everybody
right.
makes the playoffs, but so if we win tonight,
Yeah.
we're the number 4 seed in our division, which is last.
What's your record? I'm sorry.
We finished the regular season 4-12.
4-12. Okay.
But
rough season.
they're 1-0 with a UCSS camera.
That's right.
in
So
attendance.
last Thursday for the final regular season game, Mike and Anthony showed up.
Oh, nice.
And we played our best game of the year. We kicked ass.
Nice.
Okay? So before we get to that, so we're the 4 seed. We're playing the 1 seed. It's tough. They got a really good pitcher. We got a really good pitcher. It's gonna be. They beat us pretty bad last time. So we're hoping to pull the upset. If we win, we play Friday. And if we win Friday, next week is the World Series best of 3.
Wow. This is it. You guys are hot at the right time.
Right. The bats are cooking right now. I got everybody going tonight. I got my ace on the mound. And Mike, is there anything else I need to introduce for this? Mike and Anthony showed up Friday. They mic'd me up. And the kids were excited to be on TV. I had to try to tell. I was telling them, don't look at the camera. Just focus on what you do. And I thought they did a pretty good job.
They did. They scored 16 runs. The only thing I'll add is whatever you expected Coach Bolt to be like, not it. So
No. All right.
let's take a listen and learn for yourself.
Here we go.
Why do you have to go back to second?
Because they call time.
Time? You can't call time when the ball's being thrown around.
Yeah.
What? You got to tag him, tag him, tag him. Tag him, run after him. Sam, throw the ball. Tag him, run, Arrow, run. Run. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yes. Nice job, boys.
Kids.
Beautiful, beautiful. 7 pitches, 7 pitches. Yes. That's what I'm talking. Great play out there. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. Let's go. What a throw. What a throw. Yes. Stop looking at the camera. Remember, chin to knees. You swing hard. If it's above your chin, if it's below your knees, let it go. Send out the bat, boy. Send out the bat, boy. You're going back every time like this. Go, 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 go. Don't look, Con, and run. Keep going, Arrow. Keep going. There you go.
Oh,
there you go,
short.
baby. My man Lou.
You
Come on,
know
Sam,
all
go.
their names?
Go, Sam, go.
Did it take a while?
That's what I'm talking about. Good at bat. Nah, pretty quick. There we go. Nice hit. Nice hit. That's it. You all right?
Yeah.
How'd you get on? Would you slide?
What happened to your face?
All right, boys. Way to go. Good start. Guys, listen up. Place to first base. Let's just get it out. Here. Quinn, stay there. Pull. Good play. Good play. Way to go. Way to go, boys. Way to go. Yeah, run. Run. Run, 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 run. Hey, I said.
Yeah, at least.
You didn't jinx anything. Don't worry about it. There's no such thing as jinxes. If it's a little high and outside, he's calling strikes. So be ready.
Okay.
Chin to knees. Be ready to swing. Be aggressive.
Ragging on the 16-year-old.
Hey, man, that was dope, man. Hey, man, good for
Well
you.
done.
Hey,
That's good
I
leadership.
like that,
That's
man.
good leadership
I
right
like
there.
that.
That's very good leadership.
That was fun.
That's what it feels like to have a dad participate in things like that, huh? Pretty cool, Dad. No, that's great. That was fun to watch. A little behind the scenes action.
It was the first time I've ever let my son. I've usually been very careful about letting him on TV or radio or any of that.
Did he enjoy it?
He did. Yeah, he was the one who hit that last one. Although there was a force out at second, but he hit it well. And that's,
Why'd you have to ruin it for him?
Yeah.
We wouldn't have known that.
yeah,
Ever.
I do want to say this. I like that Anthony showed up. Anthony and Mike showed up. Just two dudes with a beard and a camera at a Little League game. And nobody, like all the parents, like, I guess that's cool. And then he's filming our sons.
Yeah, like.
Fair question?
Oh my God.
Fair.
All right, yeah.
I even warmed up Bull's pitcher.
That's right.
Oh, all right.
I sent Mike out because my catcher, we were the road team. My catcher in the second inning was on base when the inning ended. So I said, Mike, go out there, warm up my pitcher. And he did a good job.
That's nice.
I fit right in. I don't
He
look
used
at that over
my
11.
old glove that we pointed to.
Now, McNuggets, did you play baseball at a certain age?
I did. I played it until sophomore year of high school.
Okay, so he knows how to throw the ball. Catch it.
Yeah, he was fine. But
I'm an
my
elite
pitcher who pitched that night is pitching tonight, Paul.
All
Paul's a
right.
stud.
He's the one I
He's
went
the
and came
son
in
of
the
a
Don's
former
dugout. I was
NHL
like,
hockey
7
player.
pitches.
Does he have a nickname or anything? Should we give him
We
one?
don't. The
All
only
right.
guys that have nicknames are Arrow and Ambro because they're both Ben, so we couldn't.
I see.
Didn't know which one was talking
Okay.
about. So,
Yeah.
They're both Ben A, so
Nightmare.
we needed
So,
nicknames for those guys.
we
Well,
do.
thank you guys for coming down. The kids had a ball, and they did a good job not paying attention to the camera.
Well, congrats. Best of luck today.
Yeah,
Gotta
tear
get
it
it done
up.
You
tonight.
got to get it. Hey, listen,
Yeah.
are you going to pull out all the stops?
All the stops.
Bunts, suicide squeezes.
Whatever I got to do to win.
You've been calling the hotel room of the Little League team from last night and trying to keep them awake last night so that they're not rested. That's what I'd be doing.
It's so funny because we were practicing on Sunday. That's where I hurt my arm, by the way. I mentioned I hurt my arm.
Yeah, you did.
I was doing fielding practice, and I tried to crush one into left field to hit one deep.
Yeah.
And I felt something in here, just killing me.
Yeah.
And today it's a lot better,
Bull,
but it's
Bull got Tommy John surgery.
for just hitting hitting fielding practice.
Hey, we all go through Tommy John's eventually, you know.
And one of the kids on my team goes, we were talking about the starting pitcher for the team we're facing, and he goes, I don't think he's pitching. And I was like, what do you mean? Mm-hmm. It's like, I heard that one of these other kids is starting. And I'm like, oh, well, we got to know more about this.
Psychological warfare. That's what's going on.
Yeah,
Don't buy into it. Don't buy into it.
Anyway, everybody should come down Rocky River Little League. We have good hamburgers at the concession stand.
There you go. Can't get a better plug than
Final
that.
takes.
Yeah, we go. Final takes. Brad, you're up first.
Yeah, so my final take is, and thank you for tossing that to me, Bull. I referred to it earlier. The Big Ten and the SEC have made their moves, and the landscape of college sports has changed forever. And I would tell you who's on the clock, because the NCAA now is on the clock because their position of relevance is now in question, because the Big Ten and the SEC have now taken their sights on taking them out the picture when it comes to big-time sports athletics. And they're like, I can see the commissioners in the Big Ten and the SEC saying this, do I even really need you? You stay down there with tennis and golf. Do that over there, because you're not doing it the way we need to do it. Matter of fact, I can see Gene Smith and the Ohio State saying, I think we can do this a little bit better than you. Notre Dame, you come on here and jump in here with us, and then we're going to regulate how this works over here. And you do the other sports over there. So the NCAA, the people in Indianapolis who didn't understand how to cut the deal early on years ago, now they say you reap what you sow, and here it is.
I have a question about this before we move on, and that really is because I'm not as knowledgeable about this stuff. What are the actual outcomes going to be of this? Could it be positive in a way, having fewer conferences and more rivalries and stuff like that? I know that there are a million moving parts to this.
It could
Aditi
be, right?
Aditi brought up the fact that, this might be fun for football and basketball, it might not be fun for girls field hockey, having to go all the way across the damn country in order to play another team in your conference. Could there be good things that come from this?
I think the good thing, Mike, is this, that the sports that sometimes get not enough subsidy to compete, they now will have the subsidy.
Okay, that's cool.
It'll be now under control of, because if I think it goes the way I think it's going to go, then the institutions now are going to have a lot more control about what's being said here, right? Now they're not going to go down and be asking the NCAA for approval and forgiveness.
Right.
So it's a different. Then obviously you'll get to the NIL money for the big time athletics. These power conferences are going to create more opportunities for the student athletes. Okay. Right, and opportunities for the institutions. Going to take that power out of the tournaments and out of the bowl games.
Right.
I just thought about this. The Rose Bowl has been wrecked because now I have Ohio State and USC playing in the regular season. I don't need to see the Rose Bowl.
How many people care?
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know. A lot of people. Some people do, but.
You played at this level. Is that going to be are you happy about this or bummed?
I love it, man. I just think,
better matchups?
Yeah, it just goes right into my final answer, final question. Oh, there we go.
We'll skip back to Mike after. Go ahead.
So here's the thing, man. I think people have to start to understand that we've come so far in this country to say less is more. Less is more. We don't need to pay the people. When you pay somebody, you're investing in them, right? You're showing them lessons. People say, well, I got to travel all across the world. Now, if I'm in one conference, I got to go from Texas to California. And I say, well, you're thinking of it from a punitive standpoint. The first time I ever flew on an airplane was going to Central Michigan. A lot of times these people's, the first time they ever stay in a hotel room is when you get to go. That's the first time they've ever eaten that type of food because they feed you good, right? So when you talk about this stuff about as if it's just all about money and you don't want to do it, and when you give somebody money, when you pay an athlete, you got to look at the consequences and the positive when it comes with that. You give an athlete $75,000 to play. Guess what? Now his mom can pay his rent. Now his sister, brothers can go to private school. They can do things where now you don't have to be on public assistance. You don't have to have free lunch programs. When you help an athlete, you help somebody's whole entire family. So the way we look at it, we got to stop looking at it from a standpoint of let's constrict, let's take away. What about investing in those individuals? Because if you invest in them, you teach them how to earn money. You teach them how to practice using and opening bank accounts. They understand what they can do. You help them be responsible. Give them financial advisors earlier in the game. You're invested in our youth. You're invested in the people that are student athletes, and you invest in young Americans who then eventually one day get in the market and understand how to be businessmen, how to be fathers, how to be adults. And that's what it's about. It's not about just pay for play. It's about investment.
All good points.
Well said, G.
Well said, bro.
Yeah, I would follow you into war anywhere because your delivery is so impressive. I would. He's just like, and if we do this, and he's like, where are we going? Let's get him. Let's get him, G. Okay, here's my thought, guys. I got a little bit of bad news. We've got a couple weeks of important baseball for the tribe, and then we've got the All-Star break. And you know what that means? That means it's going to be some slow sports days around here. And boy, it has been some thin gruel throughout the summer at times. We understand that. We don't have Browns news to talk about necessarily. We keep just talking about Deshaun. If you thought it was thin before, you wait until All-Star week, okay? We're talking no baseball. We're talking basketball is still far away, and we're not even in training camp yet. So, what do you want us to do to fill this All-Star week? You tell us. Do you have a softball league championship you want us to cover? Should we start learning about what lacrosse is? Is hockey still going on? We don't even know what's going on with that. Does Thistledown still do horse racing? We'll go down there. Great. Let's go there. If you want us to come to your karate tournament, tell us. Do you just want us to play flip cup for 2 straight hours? All of these options are on the table right now during All-Star Week. Think about it because we are almost out of sports and we need you to stick with us one way or another. Let us know by going to Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show on Twitter or whatever and telling us what you want to see during All-Star Week when we are plumb out of sports around here. Doesn't mean we won't talk about it.
What about the cornhole toss?
Cornhole toss.
On
Why
TV,
not?
they had tag on TV.
There you go. Yeah. We can live stream that.
By the way, I used to consistently take off the week of All-Star break when I was working on the radio.
Right.
That was the key week to get
It's
off.
a dead zone.
It's horrible.
Just a dead zone.
Especially when you're doing 5 hours. Good stuff by all you guys. You know, I originally was going to go on a rant about yet another mass shooting, but honestly, I'm sick of just seeing thoughts and prayers and nothing get done about it, so I'm not going to waste my time either, honestly. It's too sad. Another thing that's sad but less serious is how Major League Baseball continues to be its own worst enemy. Yesterday is the 4th of July. It's one of the biggest days on the baseball calendar. And yet a number of teams, including the Yankees, as much as I hate them and most of us hate them,
yes,
they are the most popular team in baseball.
True.
The Phillies, another big team, top 5, at worst top 8 popularity in baseball, both off on the 4th of July? Does this make any sense? Major League Baseball teams, even the teams that aren't popular, and certainly the teams that are, should never be off on a holiday.
Right.
Can baseball get anything right?
Good point. Very good point. Not lately.
It's crazy.
All right, guys. It's been a fun show.
We did it.
Any final thoughts from anybody?
No, I'm done.
My final
please.
thought, you did an excellent job.
Thanks.
today.
Say you did.
Hey,
Nice
shout
job,
out
Bull.
to-
Excellent job.
Not an easy chair to
Yeah,
fill.
that's not
Nice
an easy
job.
chair at all.
Hey, he showed his experience, right?
He did.
Savvy, salty old dog. He came in and gave us
How about
6.5 innings.
How about this? Yay! Yay!
If the Guardians had this kind of foresight, to have this kind of depth on the bench, we'd be in a lot better position
Shout out
right
to Jay
now.
wherever you are. If you're sailing
Enjoying his birthday.
He's sailing around the Cape of Good Hope right now.
Yeah.
Shout out to you, Jay.
This is why you build the bench so you can say, Coach, put me in.
Yeah.
By the way, I saw Steve Becker texted and said, why was Adam wearing a whistle around my neck? It's not a whistle. It's my pitch counter.
Oh. Well, I
keep
guess
a
the
pitch
question
count-
then is, why are you wearing a pitch counter around
Because
your neck?
unlike the other coaches in the league, I don't want to destroy the arms of my kids.
I see.
guy.
No,
So
I think you mean, on the video. I thought you had it on now.
Oh, no,
It's like,
yeah.
oh my God.
In the video, I got a thing. It looks like a whistle. but
Okay,
it's
yes.
It's how I keep track of pitches.
Nice. Can't let that
Bull takes it down to
9-year-old's
the
arm
nth
go to
degree.
jelly.
Bull takes it to the nth degree.
Oh, yeah, I'm serious.
Yeah, he's serious. He's serious.
Although today the pitch count's going out the window. Oh, my God.
Are your kids being like, what is that, cryogenically frozen right now to get ease their muscles and stuff like that? Whatever
no
LeBron
doubt.
does?
I spoke with my pitcher's mom
Yeah.
the other day, and she's like, "We're gonna rest them before they." I said, "Yeah, let them get a good rest.
Yep.
No
Have
chores.
them take a nap.
No beers on the 4th.
Nothing, yeah, none of that. Let's go, Paul. Be ready to go. All right, Mikey. I know we got Leroy Horde tomorrow. We got Showtime Sean Porter tomorrow. We're gonna talk about. There's a big celebrity boxing match coming up between, I believe, Frank Gore and
Adrian
Adrian Peterson, right?
and Le'Veon Bell.
Oh, Le'Veon Bell, not
So
Frank.
we're going
Nice.
to create our own fictitious
Yes,
athlete boxing matches.
that's right.
Perfect.
That's right.
Perfect.
What else, Mike? Anything I need to hit?
Tomorrow we're talking NIL deals, and I'm excited to get Brad and Tyvis in on this after a 4-star quarterback just signed a $9.5 million NIL deal before ever stepping on the field.
We haven't seen Tyvis in a while. He was off
Lot
last
of
week.
pressure.
Yeah, where you been at, Tyvis?
He went
Lot
he's
of
a big
pressure.
shot now. Went to his Big Ten
Chicago
get
game?
together. He's a big shot.
That's tomorrow. We got some good stuff.
Stay off my house.
Don't miss it.
Yeah. Brad, you're in tomorrow.
I'm in tomorrow.
All right, Brad's in
in
for
tomorrow.
Jay tomorrow. We'll see ya. Later,
Bye,
Cleveland.
everybody. Woo!
Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. There you go.